Test 1 2, test 1 2. Couple of minutes to go. Welcome everybody to the first ever Star Sailing League Showdown final. We're in the beautiful Bahamas where 36 of the world's top sailors have flown in to compete for a brand new trophy in this sport, plus a respectable amount of prize money, $200,000 in total. Now, when we say the best sailors in the world, well, they don't come much better than Robert Scheid, with 5 Olympic medals, 2 golds, 2 silvers and a bronze. He's sailing with his powerhouse crew, Bruno Prada, and these guys are absolutely on fire at the top of the leaderboard. Plus, we have the likes of Paul Kayard, 7 times America's Cup campaigner, racing with Austin Sperry, not doing so well in this regatta, but they're fighting strong today. Plus many, many more, which we'll come to in a moment in our live coverage using Virtual Eye. And when I talk about our live coverage, in our studio at the Nassau Yacht Club, we have none other than the Mr. America's Cup, 4-time America's Cup winner, Mr. Dennis Connor, who's going to sit in for the early part of the race. Dennis, it's wonderful to have you with us. Thank you for being here.
Digby, thank you very much for having me. It's very exciting to watch. Nassau is a wonderful place to sail. It's a great venue, and with a long history of great sailors, Derwin Knowles and Bobby Simonet, the history of being one of the best venues in the world.
Well, we'll come back to Dennis in a moment. Now, let's have a quick look at the race format. Very unusual race format. The competition is over 4 days with a reserve day on the end if we need it. All 18 teams compete for the first 9 races over days 1, 2 and 3. We're here on day 3 and we have 2 races today for the sailors to make the top 10 cut, which will see them going through to tomorrow. So then those 10 crews will race and they have to make the top 7 to then go through to the semis, and that's where we'll lose 3 more teams. Then just 4 teams, 4 crews will race for the glory of becoming the Star Sailors League champion, plus the top prize of $40,000, $30,000 for second and $25,000 for third. We've had 3 cracking races yesterday. Let's have a look at some of the video highlights.
Day 2 at the Star Sailors League finals, hosted in the stunning setting of Nassau, Bahamas, where the action is full on as the teams battle to make the top 10 cut and qualify to Saturday's finals. The top 3 top teams from yesterday hold the same leaderboard positions after today's 3 races, with a points bonus to Scheid and Prada, who extended their lead even further, counting a race win and 2 second places. The battle is on behind this leading trio. Francis Rojas and Ponson, Olympians and former star-class world champions, put in a top performance in race 6 to claim the win and jump up the leaderboard to 5th. The pair showed far more confidence round the track today as they find their rhythm after over a year out of the boat together. Germany's Olympians and 2010 European champions Polgar and Coy had an outstanding performance compared to their bad start in yesterday's races. It was as though a different boat was out on the water as they scored top 5 finishes and grabbed the win in the day's last race. A bit of a disappointment for sailing legend Paul Kayard and his crew Austin Sperry, who started well with a 4th in race 5 but just couldn't hold their pace in the pack and followed up with a 15th and 18th to end the day in 17th overall. They will have their work cut out to make it up into the top 10.
Yeah, all we can do is go out and try to have a couple top 3 finishes, and maybe, it's not a matter of trying to beat some one boat, I'm sure. It's a matter of getting the fewest points possible.
All the teams have the ability and depth of skill to claim a spot in the top, and this is clearly evident with 5 different teams claiming the wins from the 7 races held so far. Staying firm at the top of the leaderboard are Brazil's Scheid and Prada, carrying a 14-point advantage over Italy's Negri and Lambertenghi in second, who sit on 25 points. Just 1 point behind in third place are the USA's Mendelblatt and Fatih. Tomorrow, the racing is expected to be faster, closer, and undoubtedly action-packed. So make sure you join us again to get the highlights.
Well, phenomenal sailing by Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada. 11 points, top of the leaderboard with fourth place, their worst race. That's their discard. So they don't actually have to sail today, but we understand that Robert and Bruno are going to go out and sail the first race. We caught up with them this morning as they were preparing to launch their boat. With Robert and Bruno, the leaderboard leaders. Robert, I understand mathematically you don't need to go out today, so what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a pretty nice position to be in coming to today. So we're going to use today to try to develop our speed and not to kill ourselves too much. It's been a tough regatta physically, and just try to get ready for tomorrow.
And Bruno, talking about tough regatta physically, it's probably tougher on you almost. So tell us, what is going well for you guys? You're scoring so well. What is the chemistry-wise? What is going so well?
I think that the big advantage that we have, that we both are in the Olympic campaign, in the dinghy boats. Robert are in laser, I'm in fin, so we are pretty much in shape in our classes. So, and we have also 15 years sailing together, so in 4 or 5 days we can take, we can do a good job together. So I think this is the thing.
Okay, gentlemen, well done. Stellar results, and good luck today. Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Well, let's have another quick look at the overall scoreboards there. As we can see, Scheid and Prada top of that board with 11 points. They don't need to race today, but they're going to go out and do the first race. Negri and Lambertenghi on 25 in second, Mendelblatt and Fatih in third, and Melgaby and Strube in fourth. All of these guys are clear with these two races in hand. Then we have Rohard and Ponceau, the Frenchman, and then Kuznierovic and Zitsky in sixth. Staniek and Klein in seventh, Polgar Coy eighth, Augie Diaz and John von Schwartz in ninth, and Jonathan Laubert and Peter Rambaud in 10th. And let's look at the bottom of the leaderboard. This is where the danger is. Maloney and Bjorn in 11th, Wright, Pedersen, Ed Wright, the Finn sailor, in 12th, Hestbeek and Olesen 13th, Zabo and Moss, Marazzi 70 points now for the bottom four. PJ Postmar, Kayard and Sperry, Hornos and Revkin. Mathematically, those bottom of the table, any of these could mathematically get into the top 10 with 2 top 5 results today. So, I mean, it's still all open. We're going to fly out onto the racecourse. Out there onto the racecourse, we have our on-the-water commentator, Louis Habib. We have about just under a minute to go before the start. Louis, let's dial out to you. We've got a beautiful sailing conditions. We're flying out in Virtual Eye to the racecourse. Talk us through conditions out there and the start.
Well, yes, Digby, we've got a major change out here. There's been a front come in from the southeast, so the racecourse has actually moved round. The top mark is bearing 85, but the swell is now 150, so very different conditions, even though the wind speed is about the same. The high tide was about half an hour ago, so it's going to be little tide. There'll be little smaller waves, Digby, so that's the general picture. Just to fill you in a little bit more on the decision by Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada to race today, you're absolutely right. They are definitely qualifying for the final. But if something happens tomorrow, there's no racing, they want to be in top spot. So doing the maths, if in the first race they are in the top 10, then they are securing the number 1 ranking for the qualifications. So that's the game plan, basically. Top 10 in the first race, and then that means that they can take a rest in that second race. So this new radical knockout system for the Star Sailors League final has thrown up all sorts of different thinkings. And there you go. They have got to race today, to be absolutely sure. There's there's been a start, Digby, but there has been an AP. So I'm not quite sure why there was an AP. Was that? I'll just ask Luca.
Everybody was over the line, so
Okay.
they make up the line.
Yeah, so we're talking a general recall. There was a lot of boats over the line, and they're going to relay the line as well, Digby. So back to you in the studio, but very tense down here at the race course.
Thank you very much indeed, Louis. Good information, and we should just explain that Louis is out there with Luca Modena, who is Robert Scheide's coach and Bruno's coach. They're not there in a coaching capacity, but we're getting some pretty good knowledge from Luca. It's really cool. And we're in here in the studio with the legend, Mr. America's Cup himself, a one-time star world champion from '76, I think it was, Mr. Dennis Conner. Dennis, great to have you with us. And what do you think of this competition, this format? You've flown down to Nassau in the Bahamas, and it's a very new thing in sailing.
I think a very creative idea that Michelle has come up with here. It gives the top sailors of the world a chance to compete against each other and find out where they really stand. So you've got laser sailors, you've got fin sailors, and star sailors all mixed in here in the same group. And I think everybody's wondering how they're going to stack up. Right now, it looks like Robert Scheide is the cream of the crop and proving to be the best, but the other guys still will improve. Paul Kayard hasn't been sailing a starboat in 20 years while he's been involved in the managing the America's Cup. He'll have a steep learning curve, and he'll improve. I think it's impressive. Augie Diaz is really a snipe sailor, sailing stars for a few years now, but it's a different boat. And he's performing well. There are a lot of dark horses doing better than what I would have thought.
Well, it's a very good comment there, Dennis. Well, one of those dark horses is Andy Maloney. He's a 23-year-old Kiwi, a laser sailor, never sailed a star before, and on the leaderboard he's coming 11th. He has Tyler Bjorn, very experienced star crew, and this is part of the vision of the organisers to bring in some of the youngsters and some of the wildcard entries from different disciplines, have a go in the star and take on some of the legends in the sport.
I think the format allowing rocking and ooching unlimited as opposed to the normal rules in the world is a new opportunity to see people performing the body kinetics and how to make a boat really go fast downwind. I think some people think that they can work the boat too hard, and it might even be slowing it down. So there's a whole new learning curve here involved in the downwind sailing. But obvious to me that Robert Scheide, he's got the edge. May just be skill of steering the boat and rocking and ooching and playing that main, but it's a secret we'd all like to be part of, and I'm going to ask him that later this afternoon.
Well, good man, Robert Scheide, certainly absolutely on fire with Bruno Prada. And these guys, I would say, are just totally match fit. Bruno's been racing a fin. Robert Scheide, of course, just come from the Laser Worlds in Oman, and he's stepping back into the laser to have another crack at the Olympic Games in Rio. The star, unfortunately, has been dropped from the Olympic lineup. They replaced it with a two-handed catamaran, but it's been dropped from the Olympics before, may come back in again. But Robert Scheide certainly match fit, and he looks incredibly focused, Dennis. You know, you talk to him around the club, and he's an extremely focused individual, and I think you'll learn a lot when you chat to him. So, Dennis, you've sailed the Star for many, many years, and you know you got to that World Championship. I understand you won every single race in that World Championship, which was pretty impressive. Talk about the boat a little bit and sailing it, and some of the secrets to going fast.
Well, it used to be the boat was a development class. Back when I started, we had wood masts, and we were trying to save the weight aloft for the pitching moment in the boat. So we made cedar core masts inside the spruce. And Lowell North was the leader and the inventor of many things, including the boom vang. So the boat was evolving. But now the boat is pretty much the same. They're coming out of basically the same mold, some small keel changes, but you're basically sailing a one-design boat. And now the trick is who is really the best sailor. It's not the best organized, who has the best sails and hull, and it really is coming down to the sailing for the first time in 80-odd years. So I think it's amazing that a couple of these guys can just be so far ahead of all their peers.
great observation. We were looking at Robert Scheid there and Bruno Prada, and they're actually on a borrowed boat. It's not their own boat. It's it's been flown in and they're borrowing it, so it's not their own set of sails or anything like that. They haven't done any tweaking. They just came a couple of days early, got out there, did some practice, and it is, as you say, down to the best sailors.
Well, it's very much that way. When I won the Star Worlds in Kiel with straight first, I had a chartered boat, but it was different then. We were fast upwind, and we dominated coming first to the first mark in every race. But here it's being done downwind, so it's a big change. It must be the technique of the sailing, the steering. Upwind, we were with a double mini, heavy guys, and trimmed the main hard, probably harder than the others, so we had a little edge in speed. It doesn't look to me like Robert Scheid has that edge in speed. He can go along for 2, 3, 4 minutes, pretty much the same as the other guys, and all of a sudden he gets on a wave and surges ahead, and then gets the same wave again and again, and all of a sudden he's 25 meters behind, and now he surges to the lead. So I'm very impressed with Robert, and I just think that he has the single-minded focus to practice, and seemed very mature out there, a lot of confidence, sailing well, not taking any chances. Obviously in very good physical condition. Off the starting line, he hikes like crazy, with Prada as well, and they look to me like they're in a league of their own.
Good observation, I totally agree. Now let's head back out onto the water. We've got our man with the eyes on the course itself, Mr. Louis Habib. Louis, we've been noticing Robert gets a perfect start pretty much every time. He likes that mid-line position for the start. Tell us what you can see.
Well, what I can see, Digby, in fact, what I can hear, I just had a masterclass with Luca Medina again. They're just about coming up the line. There's a mass of boats up at the committee boat end. The reason for that is twofold. One, because of the sea state, which is now at a completely different angle. And going to that end of the line will allow you to get your bow down earlier. So that's number one. Number two, Luke is saying stay away from the clouds. Stay in the sunshine. There's warmer air. It's much more active than we will breeze there. So there you go. But I tell you what, the tension is mounting here. We've just had another AP, again, with a load of boats over. So there's a lot of tension here. This start is going to be crucial. And we've had a second delay here with AP up. Back to you, Digby.
Well, thank you, Louis. Another general recall. You can feel the tension going into race 8. You know, even back here in the yacht club, these guys pushing it. They need a really, really good start. And particularly in the middle of the fleets, you know, you've got 8th overall, Johannes Polgar, Marcus Coy, and then Augie Diaz on that start line. He looked well over Dennis. Augie was really pushing it there with John von Schwartz.
I think the sea condition is part of the reason the right-hand end is favored, because on port you're going to be going in straight into the waves, and on starboard you're going along the top of the waves, so probably better VMG on starboard. So it may be the race committee hasn't taken this into consideration, and maybe better put that leeward end out a little bit to get an even start.
Okay, well, we actually are using an incredible tool that we're watching. It's by Virtual Eye, a company down in New Zealand who have done this immense innovation in tracking these boats and just kind of giving us a heli overview, a bird's eye view, and we'll see the gain lines, and we can actually put some VMGs on a couple of boats later on in the race. VMGs for velocity made good, which will be quite interesting to compare, and we'll get into all that a little bit later. But the boats all turning round, sailing back towards the start line. I imagine the race officers out there are going to be beginning to think about a black flag. You know, if you're over the line early, disqualified. That's two general recalls. I imagine they might be thinking about a black flag. Now, just before racing, we were chatting away to some of the crew as they were preparing. You could feel the tension, you could feel the excitement, and we caught up with 4th overall, Eivind Meleby. Now, these guys have kind of kept their heads down and stayed out of trouble. That's what we thought, but then we decided to go and chat to Eivind, and let's see what he had to say. Eivind Meleby lying 4th overall on the leaderboard going into race number 8. It's going pretty well for you guys. What's the secret?
Well, we're doing well. We got the boat set up okay, I think, and we got the weight with Mark Struby in the boat now. Even though I lost about 10, 12 kilos after the Olympics, we're still on maximum weight, so that helps, yeah.
And it looks on virtual eye that you're kind of trying to stay away from trouble. You know, we don't see you mixing it up too much, and you're kind of playing a very shrewd game here to get into this top 10. We understand mathematically you've qualified, so you're in.
Yeah, I think we are. We should screw it up really bad not to make it to the final today, so I think we're okay. We just try to play it consistent and just get to the final, which is the main goal for the qualifying series, yeah.
And just tell us how much you're enjoying being here in the Bahamas and competing in a very unusual format.
I like the format. It's good. You know, depends on the last race and everything. Hands on that. I think that's fun. It'll be close. Of course, there can be some ups and downs, and you can be bad luck, but that's just fun anyway. We're here for the fun. I like the place. It's a fantastic venue. Sailing conditions are great, so we're enjoying them.
Well, we don't need to wish you too much good luck because we think you're through. So enjoy your sailing today. Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you very much.
Well, very positive stuff from Ivan Melleby, sailing with Mark Strube, 4th overall, going into race number 8. Now, we've heard from the race committee that they're flying the I flag. They're flying the I flag, so 1 minute before the start, if they're not behind the line, that's it, you know, they're going to be out. So race committee beginning to kind of put their foot on the sailors at the moment and make sure they get off to a clean start, third time lucky. But we can certainly understand the tension and the desire to get a fantastic start for race number 8. Now, Dennis, I just wonder, we have Dennis Connor, the legend, Mr. America's Cup, in our studio in Nassau Yacht Club. While we have a couple of minutes spare, while they're resetting the line and resetting the course, just there's an amazing relationship between the Star Class and the America's Cup. We have Paul Cayard, 7 times America's Cupper, your good self, and many others. There was Ian Murray, who was the America's Cup regatta director in San Francisco. He's a great all big-time star sailor from Australia. Very close relationship, and I wonder if you could tell us why that is.
Well, the star sailors in the beginning were the best sailors. The Lowell Norse, Bill Fickers, Jerry Driscoll. They were the best sailors in the world. So it was normal for the yacht clubs that were defending the America's Cup to try to get the best sailors to race for them. So it became a tradition there of having star sailors involved skippering the boats. They didn't necessarily have the same leadership skills involved in putting together 12 people or a team of 40 people. Some were more successful than others. Lowell, probably the greatest star sailor ever to live, he didn't do very well because he didn't have the leadership skills it took to get the crew together and work for him. So the talent was there, but in the America's Cup it takes a little more than that. And we saw Tom Blackhauler, one of the great star sailors, competing in the America's Cup with Paul Cayard aboard. Not particularly same level of success. So it doesn't always work, but it was a tradition that got started when the star sailors were the best sailors in the world. Unequivocally, we didn't have all these dinghy sailors, 470, fins, lasers. We didn't have them in the mix. So there was no question who the best sailors were. Now it's a little bit different. You know, we may see a catamaran sailor here someday. We never know. See what Michelle wants to do.
Well, we do actually have a catamaran sailor. One of them is two-time Olympian in the catamarans, and it's Johannes Polgar from Germany. He was 8th at the Olympics in Beijing, but he's been racing a star since 2009. So we've got some 49er, fin sailors and catamaran sailors here, and I'm sure that mix will open up. 2 minutes to go before the start. Just one more question, Dennis. You were very famous for kind of turning sailing the America's Cup on a more professional level. You know, you kind of stepped the game up a little bit, and you know, a lot of these guys here are professional.
Well, in the old days, there was no professional. I've really never been paid a dime in the 70 years I've been racing to actually go sailing. So it was an amateur Corinthian sport. and now they're able to earn a living and buy a house, send their kids to college, plan for the future, and maybe have enough money to retire someday. So things are changing. When I won an Olympic medal, I got 0. Now you win $1 million. So it's things are in the process of change. So we have to live with that and respect the fact that maybe a higher level person can make the commitment and the focus to be a great sailor. Before, we were trying to earn a living. We were a doctor or a lawyer, or a TV broadcaster like Digby Fox.
Well, we do our best. Now, we're under about 40 seconds towards the start. We have Louay Habib. We can see the boats well clear of the line, Louay. They're all standing back, which is very impressive. A little bit more caution in the air. Louay, about 30 seconds to go. What can you see?
Well, yeah, okay. Once again, we've got a number of boats on the community boat. They are more spread out. Interestingly, Robert Scheidt has come all the way over to the pin. He's one boat in on the pin, and on the pin is the Italian pair, Negri and Lambertini. Up at the pin end, the New Zealand boat, Maloney and Bjorn, are looking like they're taking a bit of a racy start. Robert Sharp nails it at the pin end. He got ahead of the Italians there. So we're away. The line is clear. So we're off for race 8. Fantastic start. There's nobody lagging down. There's a little bit of midline sag. One of the Germans is a little bit late, but the rest are it's all ducks in a row, Digby. Fantastic conditions here. A little bit flatter than it was yesterday because of we've now got wind with tide, so it's a little bit flatter, smoother, and this is all about line speed. And one other thing to point out that might be one of the mistakes as to why Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada are quick downwind. They're 10 kilos underweight. Robert had to make the laser weight, and Bruno had to make the fin weight, so they're actually 10 kilos under. Bit of an advantage downwind. It might not be an advantage upwind. They don't have the righting moment of the other crews. So there you go. Back to you. And I am in awe of Mr. Dennis Connor's comment. So I'll get back to you, Digby.
Thanks a million, Louay. And we can see on the line that Scheidt and Prada are just leading here over Maloney and Bjorn with Negri and Lambertenghi. So the top 2 on the leaderboard have fired out onto the left-hand side of this course. Very nice start from all the sailors there, but interesting to see the top 2 take the pin end. And that's the first time we've seen Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada head down towards the pin end. Negri and Lambertenghi absolutely on fire. They had 2 bullets in the first 2 races, and these guys have been training extremely hard for this event. It means a great deal to them, and they would certainly like to be in that top 4 come racing tomorrow. And look at this fantastic battle. They're doing, Louay, they're kind of doing about 5.6 to 5.5 knots, just hammering up wind, and there's absolutely nothing in it. The first 7 boats, there are 7 meters between the first 7 boats. It's incredibly close. And we've got a bunch going up onto the right-hand side. The Marazzi brothers from Switzerland right on the far right, and Negri and Lambertenghi from Italy right down taking the far left. Now, Dennis getting really excited here, enjoying this virtual eye view. Dennis, what can you tell us? What are you seeing?
Well, I see the boats that tacked onto port falling behind on the virtual eye course, but I think it's because they're going straight into the waves. Because with the wind at 90 and the waves at 150, port tack, they're going to be slower and they're falling back. So the Robert Scheidt, he started on starboard and it looked like he was extending, but they still have to get back to the right to get to the mark. So it'll be interesting to see how the waves affect the results of the race.
Well, Louay, I wonder if we could go back out onto the race course and fire up Louay Habib. He's following this in the media boat. Louay, talk about the wave state a little bit, would you?
Yeah. Basically, Digby, with the change in the wind direction, we've now got the wind going the same way as the waves. So it's a lot smoother today. So we don't have the big waves today. Very interestingly, it was great to see the Brazilians and the Italians lining up there, and the Italians had a significant speed advantage upwind. They were faster and higher than the Brazilians. So that's really to say something. We saw the Brazilians tack away from the Italians. The Italians are now right over on the left-hand side. The guys who are going really well here on the left-hand side are the Polish team, Kuznecki and Jutski. But Luca reckons the right side of the course is the favourite. So we'll just have to wait and see. But obviously, you've got all the data there. These guys have just got compasses. Back to you, Digby.
Thank you very much indeed, Loe. We can see so you can see your position. You've got a bird's eye view of Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada there. Loe is in the white spectator boat right behind them, getting a fantastic view on the course. So interesting wave, smoother wave conditions out there on the course. Negri and Lambertenghi tacked over onto port, and there looks like Hesbeeken also in the mix as well. But it's nothing in between the top 8 meters. Incredibly flat line, Dennis. You know, there's nothing in this. It's going to be, when they get 3/4 of the way up the course, it's going to be pretty interesting to see which side is favoured and who is going to come out on top here.
I saw that Robert, when he tacked to port, he couldn't cross the bulk of the fleet. Had to force to be back on the starboard. And it looks to me like the right-hand side has got the possibility of coming good before the end.
Well, in the middle of our screen, you can see Augie Diaz and John von Schwartz with the yellow tag at the end of their name. A little bit further back, they're in the second rank there, but they're tacking up the middle, being conservative. And these guys were 9th overall coming into today, doing extremely well. Let's have we talked to Augie just before as they were preparing, and we can watch the virtual eye and just get a little update from Augie Diaz, picture in picture. Augie Diaz, you're lying 9th overall going into today. You're in the top 10. Just what's your game plan?
We need to get 2 top 10 finishes, I think, to stay in the top 10. It's going to be very difficult. The guys behind us are very close in points and very good sailors, better sailors than me. So I have to be on my top of my game. But I think if we can get 2 top 10 finishes, then we should be able to sneak in there into the top 10, and that's our plan.
We're rooting for you. Good luck, Augie. Well done, guys. Thank you very much. Well, quite a tough ask, isn't it, Dennis, for Augie Diaz and John von Schwartz. You know, the pressure is on. There are 2 races to make that top 10 cut, and it's not looking so good right now.
No, I don't like his chances. He didn't get a great start. Up the middle is not going to work. One side or the other is going to pay off here, and I think he's a dark horse to do well in this race.
Tell it like it is, Dennis. That's what we that's what we like. Absolutely. I mean, it's quite a brutal competition. This, you know, it's not like a normal kind of world championship where everyone races every race and they stack up all the points. There is a cut-off, and the top 10 will go through tomorrow, and then they'll race one race, and then the top 7, and then we'll have a big showdown finale with just 4 boats. That's going to be pretty epic, isn't it, Dennis?
I think the guys all need the money, and their money is important. And they have their eye on that bag that Michel brought from Switzerland. So all those Swiss francs are going to be jumping out of the table tomorrow night, and they want to get their share of it.
Nicely put, Dennis. Fantastic. Always a cracking commentator, Dennis Connor. It's a great honour to have you with us, mate. Thank you very much.
Nice to be here and enjoying the broadcast. Very interesting, the technology you've got. And you and your team are doing a fine job here with the virtual eye. It makes the races a lot more interesting for the people to see how the people are really doing, because I'm sure the reporters out on the course have no idea who's really winning. They're enjoying the nice picnic lunch, but they don't know half of what you know here watching this and our viewers at home watching this on the virtual eye.
Well, the tracking is an incredible device with Virtual Eye from New Zealand, and we're looking at the bird's eye view. Just over a kilometre to go. They're about halfway up the course. They're setting quite long courses, about 1.2 nautical miles, I believe. So, looking at the middle of the course there, and Kuznierovic and Zitsky. Love the way Loe pronounces all these guys. He's doing a worse job than I am, I think, of getting Mateusz Kuznierovic and Zitsky. I think that's how I talked to Dominic Zitsky this morning. I said, Dominic, how do you pronounce your name? Zitsky, like jet ski, Zitsky. So there is a little bit of Polish, and hi to anybody in Poland tracking and following this and following their superstar sailors who are 6th overall on the leaderboard. So we're halfway up the first beat, and just look at the top 8, just 14 meters between the top 8, absolutely nothing in it. A huge spread across the course. It's probably about a couple of kilometers between the far right and the far left, or a kilometer or so. Long way, and we're seeing the young Americans at the bottom of our screen, Hornos and Revkins. These are the rookie sailors, some of the youngsters that the organisers have invited down here to Nassau in the Bahamas to kind of give them some good experience. And these guys are totally loving it, even though they're at the bottom of the leaderboard in 18th. You know, they still get a little bit of prize money, Dennis. So, you know, it's all good. Nothing's bad. But Kaznerovic and Zitsky doing a phenomenal job heading out on starboard tack, heading to the left-hand side of the course, but right at the top of the screen, Meleby and Strub. So there's nothing in it. This is as close as it gets, Dennis, left and right.
I think the right-hand side may very well come good here. And as fast as these two overall leaders are, they're not performing well on the left. So I think the right is looking good. And fortunately for them, they're not going to have to line up for the minimum wage increase because they'll still have a nice payday at the end of the day.
Okay, well, I ought to tell everybody that we are on Twitter. If you've got any questions, you can go on to Twitter and hashtag AskDigby. Ask me anything, why not? You know, bring it on. And we've already had a question from Graham. Olympic class, or in a world of foiling America's cuppers, do we have to move on? So, Dennis, the star back in the Olympics, what are your thoughts?
Oh, he definitely belonged there, but unfortunately the Olympics are not all about what is best for the people and best for the best athletes. It's running by people that have trying to make a profit, and stars in a more expensive class to operate. The boats cost more money, harder to manage at the course, takes more people, so they'd rather just sail around with a kite and save the money.
Well, I hope you don't mind talking America's Cup just for a minute. I was there for 3 months directing all the features. It was a phenomenal competition from my point of view, talking to all these sailors each day, Dean and James and all those guys, and foiling catamarans, AC-72s, hitting 45, almost 50 knots. What were your thoughts? You probably jumped into a little bit, but not so keen, not so keen.
Well, it's a nice exhibition, but it's a long way from the sailing that I grew up doing. They could have sailed the boat with 3 people. They had 6 people turning the hydraulic handles. Could have used a 30 horsepower motor and got rid of 6 guys. So where is the teamwork, and where is checking the angle of the starting line, and where is which way to go, and what about the current and the tides, and put the sails up and down and jibing and taking them down. So it's not to say it's bad, but it's certainly a different kind of sailing. It'd be like watching the dragsters in Ontario or the 24 hours at Le Mans.
Yeah, well, a very different scenario there in San Francisco. But the Cup has always been quite an experimental project and quite unusual.
Well, not really. They sailed pretty much the same kind of boats for the first 125 years, and this is a big change. Larry Ellison's trying to leave his mark on the America's Cup, and certainly increase the interest from a lot of people. But we'll have to wait and see if it's really catches on and is in the best interest of the general sailing world.
Okay, well, back to the real world, down onto the star course. Thanks, Dennis, for that. We're approaching the top mark, and it's beginning to get interesting. We've looked at a big spread of boats, some going left, some going right, and it's beginning to look, like you said, Dennis, the right hand is beginning to look like it's paying off with Hespik and Olesen. Dennis is shrugging. What can I tell you? What can I say? So the right hand paying with Hespik and Olesen doing extremely well. The Maratzis over there, and Meleby and Strub also doing well. two Scandinavian teams. Fantastic here in Nassau in the Bahamas. Now I wonder if we could check in very quickly with Louis Habib out on the water. We can see you right at the bottom right of our screen. Louis Habib is tracking up there, trying to get to that top mark. The boats are doing about 5.5 knots, Louis, heading upwind. We can see you steaming upwind, keeping clear of them, but you're quite near Hesbeek and Olesen and Melleby and Strube, who are overall leaders as we speak.
Yeah, hi there, Digby. We're actually hammering along now. Matt, what sort of speed we doing? Matt, what speed we doing?
About 30 knots.
Yeah, we're doing about 30 knots, Digby, so we're a little delay on the tracker there. But I'll tell you one thing, we've got some dogfights going on here, and I've just spotted one between the Maloney and Dion and Lobo and Rambo that are right up on the cut. They're literally right on the line, the two of them. And Maloney put the French team about, and then crossed them later on over to the left. So there's some personal little dogfights going on here, particularly around that cut mark. But we're hammering it up to the top mark, and we'll be able to tell you more when we get up there. But the right mark's favourite, but there's some dogfights going on the left-hand side, Digby.
Thanks very much, Louis. You can understand that you're repositioning just to get to the top mark. John, I wonder if you could John from Virtual Eye, if you could whack that VMG back on again. That was quite interesting from Hesbeek and Olesen. If you're getting into sailing and watching for the first time, I'll do my best at explaining VMG, velocity made good. It's the best speed that you can make to the course. It's boat speed multiplied by the cosine of the angle to the wind direction. You can go low and you can go fast, which isn't particularly good, or you can sail more towards that top mark and a little bit more slowly. But your best VMG is a kind of compromise. It's that when you say you're in the groove or you're on the rails, it's that best compromise between going low and fast and high and slow, velocity made good. And that's the yellow arrow that we're looking at there. And we can compare VMGs from Melleby and Strube with some of the others, and it's looking like the right. They're getting great VMG up there. They're about to hit the starboard ley line, and I think they're going to go romping around that mark in first position. So the two guys furthest right, as Dennis Conner predicted, right is going to pay in this one, and I think Robert Scheid is still quite far out on the left. I'm not quite sure with the trails, and let's see. So there they are, Melleby and Strube tacking across, and we'll see some interesting crossings here. Using Virtual Eye, it looks like they're a little bit lower than the ley line, but they just crossed Maloney and Bjorn, and they're going to cross Lobar and Rambo. Nice to see Ed Wright and Pedersen in there. Ed Wright, a Finn sailor, never sailed a star before, but a couple of days before this regatta. And Zebo and Moss and Melleby and Strube looks like they've just taken the lead and doing extremely well. So Hesbeek and also Olesen near the ley line, Melleby and Strube right in the middle of that fleet, and there should be some interesting crossings coming up pretty soon. Well, we're in Nassau in the beautiful Bahamas for race number 8 of the Star Sailors League, and about to see where it's all going to shake out. We have Dennis Conner in the studio, great time star sailor. Fantastic to have Dennis with us. Louis Habib positioning himself up the top mark, and he's going to have a perfect view as the sailors approach the top mark. So let's have a look at some of these crosses as we come here. Hesbeek and Olesen. Just about to cross ahead of, I couldn't see who that was right behind them, Postma and Natucci, and that's a good result for them. Got the Marazzi brothers steaming in from the left-hand side. Mendelblatt and Flat and Fatih are over there as well. Kuznirovic are there. Scheid and Prada not looking so hot. That left-hand side not paying up so well. So the guys coming up the middle are doing pretty well. That was a good tactic from them. Kayard and Sperry right over there at the top, playing the left, and Staniek and Clean with Augie Diaz and John von Schwartz. I think they're going to have a bit of a shocker going round this top mark, which is a shame. 59 years old, Augie Diaz still taking it on to the young 23-year-olds, and that's a great thing in our sport that you can play it from 8 till 80. So towards that top mark, it's going to get crunchy, it's going to get interesting. We're going to see some cool crosses. We'll come across to Louet in just a moment, but we're just going to look at some of these crosses. Mayoby and Strube on port tack, and they're going to be very close to Hesbeck and Olesen. I don't know if they're going to get ahead of them, Dennis. We're looking at Mayoby and Strube, Hesbeck and Olsen. There's 10 meters in it, as we can see on Virtual Eye. I think they might just squeeze across. And quite a few of these guys, looks like they've just overstood the ley line, heading up towards that top mark. I think it's going to be Mayoby and Strube. So fantastic result for them in first place, crossing ahead of Hesbeek and Olesen. And then the Americans, Mendelblatt and Fatih, right behind. They've raced a consistent regatta. They're third overall. This result's going to do them a power of good. And in the chase, the Marazzi brothers, they're going to be very close with Kuznirovic and Zitsky around the top mark. Let's go over to Louet Habib.
Well, the news here on the eyeball is Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry just came in on port and rounded in first position. A fantastic comeback there, and they literally just made a starboard tacker. But I can absolutely confirm Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry are a boat length ahead of the Danes, with Mendenblack in third and the Swiss team in fourth. But Paul Kayard, he may be down, but he certainly isn't out. Back to you, Diggers.
Louet, can I just confirm with eyeballs, because we've got Paul Kayard not even around the mark yet.
Okay, I have a definite eyeball on Bell 96, Paul Kayard, and Austin Sperry rounding the top bar, 100%.
Okay, well, Louet on Virtual Eye. Could be a mix-up with the trackers, I'm not quite sure. We'll get into that in a minute, but we have Paul Kayard crossing around the top mark at the moment. So boats heading out to that little spreader mark. Be interesting to see. We'll check out the technology, but quite a tight bunch up. Just about 1 minute 22 between the top mark, top boat going around that top mark and the last. So Dennis, quite a bunch up now as they head downwind. We can see Scheidt and Prada right in the middle there, and this is going to be quite interesting to see how they get on downwind.
Well, Robert looks like he's going to have a hard time sailing through the lee of some of the boats above him, but he has a good start to get in the top 10 finishes, which is all he really needs to assure that he'll have a chance to win the big prize for tomorrow. That was his goal, not break anything, sail a conservative race, and come back and be at the Nassau Yacht Club for a nice rum punch to talk it over with Durwood Knowles.
Absolutely. Durwood Knowles, a gold medalist from the Bahamas, and he was there at our opening ceremony, and it was great to hear a little bit from Sir Durwood Knowles. So the boat's hammering downwind now. On our tracker we have Mayoby and Strube as leaders. We'll clear up the confusion after this race. Could be a little crosswire in the trackers, no problem at all. Dennis is leaving the building. Thank you very much, Dennis Connor. Great to have you with us. Cheers, mates, and very much enjoyed your input. So, downwind on race number 8. We're looking at Mendelblatt and Fatih, and the race leaders there, the Marazzi brothers, in the mix. And we're joined now in our studio. We have Michel Niklaus. Michel, the spokesman for the Star. You're not going to get away. You're not going to just sit there, Michel, and not get away with doing some talking. So do join us, Michel. And I'm going to get a little update from John at Virtual Eye. I'm just going to go off the mic for a second. Okay, well, Virtual Eye is investigating the Kayard mystery, but you can't beat a pair of eyes on the water, and you know, this is technology and wires, and things do kind of unravel at sea. So now we have quite an interesting overall leaderboard graphic. The guys at Virtual Eye Paul down in New Zealand has been working all night to come up with an amazing mathematical formula, Michel, and this should be pretty cool. We can see during race 8 the live overall standings with positions. Now, I'm just going to throw in a caution because we think one result's going to be completely out, the Kayard and Sperry. But we do know that Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada are at the top. Mendelblatt and Fati are in there. Meliby and Strube, the Negri and Lambertenguis are doing extremely well.
So I see that
we're looking at the absolute overalls here on the right-hand side, and then Kuznirovic, Rohard and Ponceau, Staniek Kleen, Polgar Koy, Maloney and Bjorn nudging up into that ninth, that top 10, Hesbeck and Olesen. So in the bottom rank there, Diaz and von Schwartz. Well, they're having a bit of a shocking race in this particular regatta. They're 17th on the water. And the Marazzi brothers, your fantastic friends from Switzerland, I'm sorry to say, they're in the bottom half of the table. Ed Wright and Pedersen, they were looking pretty good this morning on 12th, but right now this is the live overalls, and the mathematics is getting pretty interesting. Zebo and Moss, they needed to do a bit better than 11th in this race, and right now they're standing 11th. Postma and Natucci, they're 12th in this race. These guys needed to be in the kind of top 7, and Hornos and Revkin 14th in this race, which makes them 17th overall. And we'll come back with the Kayard Sperry mathematical conundrum probably after this race. Virtual Eye tweaking some of the inputs there. So down at the front of the fleet, we know that Paul Kayard is in the mix, and I think I might go back out onto the water to try and catch up with Louis Habib. Louis, just to let you know, we have a discrepancy in our results. Tell us about Paul Kayard. Where is he?
Okay, Digby, I'm pretty much sure that there is a swap around between Paul Kayard, Austin Sperry, and the other American team. That's the turnaround. So Paul Kayard, it was definitely leading at the top mark, and he went over on the right at the start, so he got it right. He went over to the right-hand side, and then he came back in and approached the mark on port tack and just made it in front of, I think, Polgar and Koy. But if he hadn't made that, he would have been down the pan probably 8-9 boats. So he made that top mark by literally inches. Fantastic first beat from Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. And as I said, these guys may be in 17th position overall at the beginning of this morning, but Kayard and Sperry have not given this up. And if they get a bullet today, it could be all on for the last race. Back to you in the studio, Digby.
Well, thank you very much for that update, Louis. And we can confirm that there has been a little bit of a mix-up. So when we're looking at Mayerby and Strube in our virtual eye, that actually is Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. And when we're looking at Paul Kayard towards the back of the fleet, that is Mayerby and Strube. So Paul Kayard in the blue line, 7 meters behind Mendelblatt and Fati. So pretty great result for Paul Kayard. We spoke to him this morning, and he was kind of getting pretty fired up. And let's play a little interview with Paul Kayard from this morning as we continue to watch Virtual Eye. You and Austin, you're down on the leaderboard, but it's not all over. You've got 2 races to go. Mathematically, this is still possible with 2 fantastic results. A tall order.
Yeah, but I mean, that's all possible. We just have to go out and have 2 good races and see where the chips fall. I mean, yesterday was a little disappointing. Frankly, I thought we were going to come a little better than that, but we got on, wrong side of some shifts, and I think our speed's okay, so just go out and do the best we can.
Well, this is where a competitor has to kind of dig deep a little bit, coming into a situation like this. And, people have pulled it off before. You can do it, Paul.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Plan
mate.
on it. All right.
Well, that's pretty amazing, isn't it, Michel? I mean,
Absolutely.
he certainly can do it. He was right down at the bottom of the leaderboard this morning, and there he is. He's second in this race, and, that is a great champion, isn't it? Digging deep.
Absolutely. Great champion, because he's coming here back in the star class during this final, and he he is a legend. So he don't need to come here and to take these so difficult races now. He can take 2 months to make practice. He said, yes, I'm coming here. I mean, it's such kind of courage to come here and to fight with all these guys. And I mean, for me, it's great people. They can do this. Great people.
Yeah.
And he show us that it's possible.
He does show us.
Yeah.
He gives hope to us all. You know, if things aren't going so well, you know, you can always pull something out of the bag and crack off for a great result. Well, that is going to see him shoot up on the leaderboard, and we'll figure all that out a little bit later. But we're in race 8, heading downwind towards the bottom mark. It's a windward-leeward course, 2 laps, quite a long course today, only 2 races today, and you know, they race 9 races to make that top 10. So let's have a little look around. As we see at the bottom of the screen, Kayard and Perry, that is actually Mayaby. Paul Kayard, we've done a little swap there. Never mind, these things happen. Going up, Ryden Pedersen and Postma and Natucci, the 2 Finn sailors. They're playing the left-hand side of the course as we look down. And there's Rohard and Ponceau. Not such a great regatta for them, not such a great race. They're just behind Diego Negri and Sergio Lambertenghi. Now, Diego Negri and Lambertenghi, they have qualified. Mathematically, they're in the clear. They're second overall. They're in the clear, so they're just playing a conservative game and keeping out of trouble, I believe. Good result for Polgar and Coy. You know, these guys have been sailing beautifully. They were 8th going into today. Fairly consistent results, but it's rather interesting to see the Germans in the top 10. And if we do the overall mass towards the bottom of the leg, we'll see how that's going. Staniek and Klein, the other German crew. So the 2 German crews staying very well together. Laubert and Rambo, the 2 Frenchmen. Laubert, Jonathan,
he was
the Finn sailor.
He was 10 today. I mean, it can be dangerous now. He has to do a good upwind now after, because I mean, he lose his 10th place now, and Xavier, he's 17 now. I mean, he feel so small points to be qualified, but with the 16, it's dangerous. It's dangerous place now.
That is
16, 17
a
place.
very dangerous
18.
position to be in.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. So Xavier Rohard, he's the top French star sailor, ranked number 1 on the Star Sailors League. I did a bit of sailing with Xavier after racing yesterday, and we did a bit of a technical piece. We'll come to that in a little bit of time. I asked him about boat speed and downwind technique. We'll come to that in a moment. But we're heading down towards the bottom mark. When it says maybe in Strube, that is Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. I love that name, Austin Sperry. It's my favourite of the whole fleet. Paul Kayard, Austin Sperry, pulling out an absolute blinder. This is going to change their fortunes at the Star Sailors League, and it really is a championship performance by these guys coming in on race number 8 and pulling some magic out of the bag. And they knew they had it. You know, they knew that they had it within them. But Paul has not been sailing a Star for quite a while. He's been running his America's Cup campaign, the Artemis campaign. You know, that is a full-on administrative, battle. And those guys had, they had quite some issues up there in San Francisco. And it was a wonderful story from the America's Cup, how they got onto the race course.
And Digby, today, great battle.
Yeah.
This morning, some guys were not in the 10. And we see now that they are giving all they have in physically. I mean, Paul and Olesen too. Yeah. They will be really upset if they are not in the 10, and they give the best now. They give the best.
Well, I think that's right, and I think this format is because it's so kind of brutal that it's quite exciting, quite dynamic, and all the sailors so far that we've spoken to, they're absolutely loving it. So the boat's steaming down towards the bottom gate. We're going to go back out onto the water. On the water commentator Louis Habib, I'm sure he's in a great position to see this bottom gate rounding. Louis, boats heading towards you.
Yes, hi there, Digby, and Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry are leading.
Oh, that's classic. We're having a great technological battle. I'll dial up Louis again. And Paul Cayard leading that. They're heading down to the left gate as we, the right-hand gate as we look at the course. Not Melby and Struber, that's Paul Cayard. And hoping we get Louis. Louis, you back on the phone, mate?
Yeah, back on the phone. And Paul Cayard and Austin Sperry are just rounding the Lewis gate there. And they pulled out about a boat length, but it's the Danes that are behind them. The Danes are in second place, Hesbeck and Olsen, and they're in the drop zone at the moment. They're really catching up this race. The other team in the drop zone that are doing extremely well and just ahead of Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada is young Maloney and Bjorn. So it's all going on. The Polish team as well doing well. It's all going on. Ed Wright's right back in the mix as well. Obviously I can't do the maths there. You're looking at it there, but we've nearly got the entire fleet round in, I would guess, a minute. Digby, this is full on out here.
Well, it just shows how close these boats are in boat speed, and I think you're right, Louis. The overall results are going to look pretty interesting at the end of this race. There's going to be some of the bottom half of the table performers have really come up in this race, and particularly Andy Maloney. He's just 23 from New Zealand and been racing a laser for 5 years. Never stepped foot in a star class. He's racing with a very experienced guy, Tyler Bjorn. And these guys are very, very. I think he's the youngest here, Michelle.
Yeah.
Andy Maloney from New Zealand. Boats heading upwind. Yeah. We can see Mendelblatt and Farty doing extremely well. Scheidt and Prada have pulled up. They're in clear air. Kuznierovic in the middle, just tacking across onto port, heading over to the right. Hesbeek and Olsen, going to be a bit of a cross with these two. So. Postma and Natucci down on the bottom right, following up the starboard ley line. So interesting positions, a bit of a leaderboard change up. And we're talking about Andy Maloney. We caught up with him this morning as they were rigging the boats, and he looked pretty fired up. We'll carry on looking at the virtual eye and listen to Andy Maloney. So Andy Maloney, you're lying 11th overall going into today with Tyler Bjorn. You're on the borderline here, but this is the first time you've ever sailed a star. You've been a laser sailor for about 5 years, third at the Worlds, the Laser Worlds. Just how is it going, and what is your game plan today?
It's going well. I mean, obviously having never sailed the boats before, we're learning a heap every race. We'll just go out there today and try and get a couple of really good starts. And hopefully we can hang with the guys upwind and send it downwind and hope for a couple of good top 10 results.
And how much are you enjoying this race format and racing against some of these top guys like Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada?
Yeah, it's great racing against all the top guys, and the format's really good. Everyone in the fleet's really friendly and helpful, and it's just a good group of guys to race against.
Now on the start line, race number 8, we're going to be virtualing race 8, race 9 start line. What's going to be your strategy there on the starts?
I'll just look to get off the line cleanly in the front row near the favoured end and have a good lane off the line and be able to go where we want.
And last question, very tight with the points. Are you going to be looking out for specific boats? Are you going to be targeting anybody in particular?
No, we'll just go out there and every race try and win the race, and the points will take care of themselves.
Okay, mate. Good luck, Andy. Good luck, Tyler. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks.
Well, pretty good philosophy, Michel. He's no pressure, and he's doing fantastically in this race. He's up in 3rd position, and that's going to see him very comfortably in the top 10 at the end of this race, and kind of what you dreamed about, seeing some of the youngsters doing so well from the other classes.
Yeah, we spoke before about the youngest team, but it's not the youngest team, it's the youngest skipper, 23 years old. So we can speak a long time about the skills of the Olympic athletes. We see clearly that when they are here together, it's a big battle, and we see that the skills are here inside the Olympic best sailors for sure. And we trust this guy, and I mean, we're right to trust. We see now.
Well, let's check out the overall scores. Mendelblatt and Farty just leading by 26 metres over Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. And just to remind anybody, we've got our two trackers mixed up. Maybe and Strube there on the screen, that is Paul Kayard, and vice versa. And Maloney and Bjorn are up there. The youngster from New Zealand, he's going to be pretty stoked with this result. Scheid and Parada very comfortably in the middle, taking no risks. They're lying fourth with Hesbeek and Olsen, Kuznirovic, Zicki. Augie Diaz looks like he's coming up, and he's back up to seventh, which is absolutely cool. Didn't have such a great start and not such a great first beat, but he's climbing and he's hungry and he's hard. He's an old fox, isn't he, Augie Diaz? 59 from Miami and Florida. Has been away from the class for a while and he's getting back into it. And I was chatting to Augie last night, and he was just saying it was such a privilege to be here. So look, number 8 there, Augie Diaz. This is the kind of the provisional results, the kind of overall running orders. Very clever piece of mathematics going on from Virtual Eye. Augie Diaz has climbed his way into the top 10 cut-off, as has Maloney and Bjorn. And in the danger zone at the moment, Hesbeck and Olsen, Wright and Pedersen, Lobert, Rambeau, the Marazzi brothers. Kayard, I think, is doing okay. Zabo and Moss and Postma and Natucci. Now, one of the most experienced sailors here is Xavier Rohart. He's sailing with Pierre Alexis Ponceau. Xavier Rohart, a bronze medalist at the 2004 Athens Games. 4-time Olympian, 2 in the Finn, 2 in the Star. I had a very unusual afternoon with Xavier yesterday. I decided to ask him if I could jump on the boat, give us a little bit of a masterclass of how you make a Star go fast, and this is what happened. Xavier Rohart, Pierre Alexis Ponceau. Xavier, I wonder if you could just give us a quick 2-3 minutes lesson in how do you make a Star go fast?
So it's a nice trick. This lady is quite delicate. The water lines are designed quite straight, so the balance of the boat is difficult to find. So the key is to find the balance between the hull shape, the position, the hull shape, the shape sail also, and then to have the less helm as possible and get the maximum power. So for that we have some trims like Cunningham, Vang, main sheet, and we can also adjust the shrouds to bend more or less the mast and to find the balance. So we can show you a little bit going upwind. C'est bon, Pierre? Allez, c'est parti le pape. So the key is to put some power against the sails, and then you find the balance of the boat. The helm, if it's too much, you just reduce a little bit the power using auto. Okay, that's much better. The check stay, like this, and then you hike as much as you can. And we surely have to tack now because of the reef.
Okay, you tack, I'll stay where I am.
Yeah, you can try, nice and slow. Let's go. So to go faster than the other, you need to get as much as power as you can from the sail, and then transmit all this power through the hull. And we are also there to transmit all the weight we can. So hiking and adjusting when we are sailing upwind during the upwind. Mostly we use the two backstay, lower and upper and lower. So, and depending the wind, So you see like this, the wind is coming up. I'm releasing a bit, get the sail flatter, and it can have more wind spin inside. So, and everything else is very classic. You drive the boat through the waves. Okay, more wind. And you can see, maybe you can have a look to the sail. So we are using all the place the sail is flapping to know how much power it is, and we can adjust to have less flaps, more open leach, and go higher without giving too much the speed.
Xavier, it's a huge mainsail, a very large mainsail on this thing, and a very, very low boom. You can see right there. And there's not a lot of space to get under there.
No.
Very long, large boom. So quite a lot of power generated by this mainsail. Huh?
Definitely. It's why we have to sail really near the wind. So we are 25, 27 apparent wind, and we drift a little bit. Maybe you see it from the. So we are 30, 32 from the wind. So it's the only option we have to have not overpowered all the time.
And lastly, just your crew position there. You are hiked right out.
Alexis.
His back is skimming the water. And this is hard work, guys. Hard work.
You see. So another tack, because not much water there. Ok, dans 3 longueurs, 2, 1, c'est parti.
Well, a fantastic insight there, Michel, into how to make one of these stars go fast. And I tell you, that was hard work, just hanging on to the boat, bouncing around and just trying to get onto that boom and around the front of the mast, and very, very hard boat.
Yeah, laser is very hard boat too. When we spoke with Robert Scheid, he said here we are 2 person on the boat, but for the crew it's clearly big job. But see, if you want to win, a lot of sport are a hard job, and here we can say that it's fully athletic guy, they can win. And for example, Robert Scheid, his weight now in this regatta in race, he's a little almost 10 kilo less at the other team, and he can be in front, and we know that 10 kilo it's a lot for this boat. So he's hiking like crazy. He is top form.
Well, we are looking at athletes here, and top of their game, and I'm very pleased to say that we've done a little virtualized switch, and we can see Kayard and Sperry lying second in this race, and we've, with our eyeballs on the water, Louis Habib has confirmed that. So we've done a digital switch, and I think we're right on all the trackers. Kayard and Sperry pulling out an absolute blinder in this race. Scheid and Prada, also an amazing performance by these guys. We expect nothing less, and you'd have to put some good money on them for being in that top 4 and taking this regatta, but you never know. You never know. Somebody could have just an amazing race in that grand finale, and it's not a done deal. All these guys have to do, I say all these guys have to do, what they're aiming to do is to get into the top 10 overall after race number 9. We're in race number 8, and we're approaching the top mark, and there we go. We see Maybe and Strube, who we thought were doing so well earlier on, but not so well due to a digital mix-up. But anyway, that's the way it is. We're back on track and looking good for the top mark, the second top mark. They're going to go round this and round the spreader mark and head down towards the finish line. So about 300 meters to go. Mendelblatt and Fatih, Kayard and Sperry looking absolutely great over there on the right-hand side, and a good day for the Americans. It's funny, seems to be the French have a good day, and then the Americans have a good race, and then the Italians, there's a little nationalistic, and the Germans yesterday all seem to be together having a great race. So a big flag day for America with Mendelblatt and Fatih up there looking absolutely awesome. Kayard and Sperry right behind them. That is going to do Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry an absolute power of good. We'll fire up the overall leaderboard when we get round the top mark, and as they're heading downwind, we'll start to kind of see what that means to the overall positions with the mass that has been cleverly worked out by Paul down in New Zealand.
We have to speak about Mark Mendenblatt. Amazing. He don't do so much noise. He's always here. He's always in, very consistent. He was in Olympic, last Olympic Games. He's really consistent in this performance. Without any noise, he was in the center of the fleet. He's coming here, and now it will be very strong to keep this first place.
Well, as you say, Mendelblatt, he's a quiet guy. You know, he's not an expressive character, but 2 Olympic Games. He was 7th at the Olympics last year in the UK, and when he was just 11 years old, he won the Optimist Worlds. You know, so an incredible talent from such an early age. The quiet man, Mark Mendelblatt, sailing with Brian Fatih, who's been sailing with Mark for about 4 years, and bronze at the Star Worlds last year. So very, very strong American team there leading this race, approaching that top mark. I think we're going to go back out onto the water and check in with our commentator Louis Habib, where we can see the white boat just above the top mark. Louis, you should be having Mendelblatt and Fatih coming right towards you.
Yes, Diggers, that's absolutely correct. They are going around the top mark right now. Some fantastic work from the crew, Brian Fatih there on the last tack in. You can see him using all that kinetic energy to put the bow round and throw in a great tack. They've pulled out about 4, 5 boat lengths, but Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry are still in second place and just going around the mark now. And would you believe it, Robert Schei and Bruno Prada are nearly, well, no, there's one who's just got in front of him. It's the rookie. It's Maloney Bjorn having a cracker. Now, he's only 2 points off the cut. He needs to catch the French pair, Laubert and Rambo. He's only 2 points behind him, and at the moment, he's got those 2 points. Robert Schei and Bruno Prada currently in the 4th position, which will mean they can have a rest on the last race. And then it's Danes, and they're having another cracker. So again, Dignity, it's far from over here, but I'd say the big news here is that at the moment, Maloney and Bjorn are about to depose Lambert and Rambo from the cut. Obviously, there's one more race. Back to you in the studio, Digby.
Well, Louis, we're seeing some good stuff from the Marazzi brothers, just squeezing ahead of Wright and Pedersen, and I think they're okay. Talk us through that.
Well, yes, the Marazzi brothers have just come around the top mark. They're just behind Ed Wright, and the Polish team are just in front of them. The Marazzi brothers are at the back of a little bit of a pack. So, yeah, you know, downwind, it's attack from behind. So they've got a load of boats they can attack in front of them. So that's all good stuff. But the other boats aren't far behind. And this racecourse is very tactical now. It's very square. There's a little bit more pressure on the right-hand side of the course as you look up from the line. But the shifts seem to come from the left-hand side. So do you play the shift? Do you play the extra pressure? It's going to be quite fascinating to see these boats spread out downwind, and there's going to be some overtaking, that's for sure. Back to you, Diggers.
Now, Louis, I wonder if you could do a little bit of eyeballing for Meyerby and Strube. We're seeing them right side by side, JP Postma. Could you confirm that?
Yes, I can confirm that between Postma and Strube, there is the Norwegian team of Melleby. Sorry, I'm getting Melleby and Strube. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Melleby and Strube are next to the pair you mentioned. I'm losing it. But,
Postma.
yeah, that is confirmed. Yeah, the next to Postma, that is correct. The American flag next to the Dutch flag.
Appreciate that, Louis. We were just confirming that we'd swapped the right two trackers digitally here in the studio. So, good. Information-wise, I think we're all right, Michel. Back on track on that front, and the fleet hammering downwind. Not much in it on that second rounding of the top mark. Scheid and Prada climbing up the fleet again. Wright and Pedersen, you can see there to the left of our screen, heading in towards the middle of the course. They want to play the middle, and they're all heading down towards the finish line now. And as you say, Louis, you're absolutely right. This is Andy Maloney and Tyler Bjorn's moment. And I think the French guys are going to be in trouble. Jonathan Laubert, I'm not sure. That could be mathematically right. And what an absolutely stellar race for Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry, right next to Scheid and Prada.
It's great moment now because we have two laser top sailors now, Scheid and Maloney. They are together. They are almost 2 meters far away, and I mean, in 10 minutes we have the finish line, and we will see what's happened if Maloney can take and don't lose his place, because here it's a great moment to show what's happened between these two boats.
Well, let's look at our projected points table, and some lot of calculating going on here, and the big news right down in number 11th is Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. So they're climbing up into that position at 11th, and that's going to give them an absolutely superb chance in race number 9. Michel next to me in the yacht club is, you know, there's a sweat coming off, and it's tense, and it's interesting here at that top 10 cutoff. But Maloney and Bjorn firmly within that top 10. They were 11th overall going into this morning. So super stellar performance by them, 4th in this race, and they're going to be pleased with that, as also is Diaz and von Schwartz. You know, Dennis was like, no, he's never going to make it, but 59-year-old Augie Diaz still cutting the mustard here in Nassau, the Bahamas. And Laubert and Rambeau down into 14th. These guys are struggling at the moment. They were 10th coming into today, and we actually had a good chat with Jonathan Laubert this morning. I think we can lose that leaderboard for a second, and we'll have a little catch-up with Jonathan Laubert while we carry on watching the tracker. Jonathan Laubert, Finn bronze medalist from the Olympics last year. Jonathan, first time in a star, and you're 10th on the leaderboard. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy about that because I just sailed the boat 3 days now, and I'm competing with the best guys in the world in the star class. So we had few very good races. Many times we were in top 5, and we are also a couple of last. So this is why overall we are on the 10th place. So now it's very tight with the guys behind us. So today it's a little bit the money time. So we'll do our best today to stay in these 10 first boats. No matter the places, doesn't matter, just to be top 10, that's the goal. And then have one more day of sailing tomorrow.
Okay, well done. It's an amazing result for a Finn sailor, and this is the dream of the organisers, to bring some top sailors from other classes. So, you know, well done on doing so well in this star class. Just one more question, the boat, the star itself, how are you finding it?
Actually, the boat is really nice to sail. It's quite technical and so on, and I'm very lucky to have this Pascal with me because he's a great crew, he knows the boat so well, and he makes my life much more easy. So I think this is also why we are doing some good results sometimes, because he tells me when to jibe, to be on the lay lines and so on, and the boat is always very well trimmed. It's not a speed issue for now. It's mostly being on the good lines and trying to catch the good position with the other boats. And sometimes I'm just a little bit scared to break the boat. So I need to take a little bit more risk today, and I think we can be really well.
Well, good luck today. It's tight in that middle of the leaderboard. So very much good luck. Cheers,
Thanks.
Jonathan.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, Michel, Jonathan Laubert there, he's 17th in this race. Is not what he dialed up, not what he's asking for, and he's having a tough race here at the back of the leaderboard. And let's fly through some of the guys from the back of the fleet. JP Postma, Natucci, Eduardo Natucci taking up the rear. They have Laubert, Rambeau, Szabo and Moss there, Hornos and Revkin to the right, Negri and Lambertenghi just taking it easy. They're qualified already, and the Germans, Polgar and Coy, the Marazzi brothers doing extremely well, and Diaz and von Schwartz having a stellar race on this one. Moving up through to the Poles, Kuznedovich and Zitsky, and then Staniek, Klein, Hesbeck and Olesen, Maloney and Bjorn having a stellar race here. And then the brilliant Brazilians. Let's say that again, shall we? The brilliant Brazilians, Scheid and Prada, Paul Kayard. Now, Kayard, you know, it's 17 meters to Mendelblatt and Farty, and they are hammering downwind towards that finish line. And I wonder if, just very briefly, I can see Louet, he's right down towards the finish line, so we probably know more than him at the moment. So there's a real drag race to this finish. Michel, I wonder, look, Kayard up to 10 meters now. He looks like he's gaining. He's got a bit of clean air there. There's no one behind him. Mendelblatt and Fatih also in a bit of clean air. And this is tense for that finish line. And literally, one place, 1 point is going to make a massive difference to Paul Kayard.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, and we were speaking together 5 minutes before between Robert Scheid and Andy Maloney. They were together, and now 70 meters. He took 70 meters. It's oh la 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 la.
Check this out. Paul Kayard just climbing, steaming downwind. It looks like he's on an absolute fire, and he's just he's meters away from Mendelblatt and Farty. So those two teams are rocking away. They're physically moving the boat around like you wouldn't believe, and the hunger is up with Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry lying in second overall, and it's all to play for. Mendelblatt and Farty, I think they're going to have to jibe over for the finish line, and these guys just steaming down towards the finish. And Scheid and Prada, they could take it as well.
Will see you will know something. I put $10 on Robert Scheid.
You're going to put, well, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you a beer. Okay, all right, I'll bet you a beer on Robert Scheid, okay? You're going to take Robert Scheid, yeah? All right, fair enough, not too bad. One beer in the bar, and Michel betting me a beer there. We love a bit of gambling, Chris.
I put $10 without to lose, but perhaps it's not my idea that he wins, because I want to see this. I'm very upset when the guys are not in the 10 best. It's not my goal.
No, that's all right.
I put only this.
Just a beer. We'll just do a beer. I don't like to bet financially. And one beer. Michel going for Scheid and Prada, which is, that's not bad. I'll take that one. So Kayard and Sperry, the bit between their teeth, hammering down towards the finish line. Mendelblatt and Farty, the consistent Americans. Third going into today. This result is going to take them probably up to second behind Scheid and Prada overall. So Louet Habib, we've got a real drag race at the front of the fleet. Louet, the boat's steaming down towards the finish. We've got Mendelblatt and Farty, Scheid and Prada, Kayard and Sperry, all gunning for line honours. And right behind them in the second row is Maloney and Bjorn, Hesbeck and Olesen, and Staniek and Klein. This is going to be very, very tight for first place, and very, very tight, I believe, for fourth place. Louet, over to you.
Yeah, well, looking at the race course, we've got virtually every single boat on port jibe, except for one over on the right-hand side of the course. I'm not quite sure who it is. You can probably see from here.
That's Ed Wright, I believe.
Okay, so yeah, Ed Wright's coming in now. it's a bit different downwind, but he is on starboard. I don't know if he's going to do anybody at the front. He probably won't. But I think the really crucial thing, as you rightly point out, Paul Kayard is about to zoom up the leaderboard, and I think he's going to be into 11th if this goes. Maloney looks like he'll jump up to 10. So that's really all on there. And I tell you what, Diggers, I won't have a beer, but I'll have a rum and coke. I reckon that Robert Scheidt's going to win this race and then go in and take that rest at a huge psychological advantage going into the finals tomorrow. But for the rest of them, they're all going to have one more race, and it's definitely going to be a right old dogfight, particularly at the bottom of the cut. So they're just coming in now to the line. I'll sort of stay live, but I can say at the moment, Digby, that beer and that rum is not looking too good. However,
well, Lou, I'm going to cut across you for a second. We've just seen the lead change about 2-3 times. Scheid and Prada taking on Kayard and Sperry. The lead swapping and changing. There is absolutely nothing in it between these two as we look on the side view on Virtual Eye. Mendelblatt and Fatih have just slipped behind, and there we go, the lead changing. There we go, is Scheid and Prada taking the top position as they hammer down across the line. Lou, back to you, mate.
Yeah, I can confirm that. At the moment, the Brazilians are, they were a boat length ahead, but just then, Kayard and Sperry caught a puff, but there's a luffing match going on now, and Robert Scheidt has just pushed Paul Kayard towards the pin. He's still going to make it, but they are overlapped. They are overlapped heading for the line, and it is the Brazilians take it just from Kayard, less than a boat length, with Mendenblatt less than a boat length behind. The three boats overlap going through the line. And coming in fourth place is Maloney and Bjorn. So they have absolutely nailed that, and they're now making the cut. So the young Kiwi rookie is now making the cut going in to the last qualifying race. And then steaming in from the right-hand side is Staniak and Clean to come in sixth. Ed Wright is falling off coming in now, taking on the Danes, and it's almost impossible to call. I would not like to call that, and neither of them know which one. But I think that Ed Wright just got the Danes there. Bit of a gap now, but I need to pause for breath. That was incredible. Back to you, Diggers.
Thanks a million, Lou, and that's me losing out a beer and a rum and coke. Fair play, fantastic result for Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada, and a fantastic result for Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. Mendelblatt and Fatih in third, Maloney and Bjorn in fourth, Staniak Clean fifth, Ed Wright and Pedersen in sixth. Super result for Ed Wright, and Hespik and Olesen in seventh. And on Virtual Eye, we're watching the next pack come down towards the finish. It's going to be the Poles, Kuznierovic and Zitsky, followed by Augie Diaz and John von Schwartz. And then the Marazzi brothers. Good regatta, good race for these guys, the Swiss. Nice. And Michel enjoying that. Michel from Switzerland, waving the flag there, and fair play to you. And then look at this bunch of boats heading over the line. And Polgar and Goy having a great duel there with the Marazzi brothers, and then Hornos and Clean neck and neck with Meleby and Strub, and Zebo and Moss neck and neck with Negri and Lambertengi, and Lobar Rambo just taking it from their fellow Frenchmen Roja and Ponceau. So my goodness, what an incredible finish there, and Postma and Nucci bringing up the rear. So Michel, deep breath. Wow. Phenomenal stuff from Paul Kayard. And let's have a look at the provisional overall leaderboard. And let's run through. I'm going to jump straight to place 11th, Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. They've climbed up from 70 points. Bottom of the leaderboard, they are now in contention to make that top 10 cut. And remember, going into tomorrow, we've got one more race today. Going into tomorrow, it really doesn't matter what their overall points are. It's a fresh sheet for all these sailors. So all they're trying to do today is get into that top 10 cut. One more race to go. So we know that Scheid and Prada are through, and we know that Mendelblatt and Fatih are through, and we know that Negri and Lambertengi are through, and I would say that Meleby and Strub are pretty safe. Xavier Rohart and Ponceau, I think, are fairly safe. Fifth. They didn't have such a great race there in that one. They've dropped their 17th place from that last race for the overall scores. And then on 47 points, Staniek and Klein. Then the Poles, Kuznerovic and Zitsky on 48 points. Polgar and Koy, the Germans, 63 points. Diaz and von Schwartz, 64. And Maloney and Bjorn bumped their way up into that top 10. Super race, a 4th place finish in that one to get them into the top 10. And now we've spoken about Kayard and Sperry. Ed Wright, the Finn sailor, sailing with Pedersen in 12th. Hesbeck and Olesen, 13th. Lobert, Rambaud, as you said earlier, Louis, that was not such a great race for them. That's bumped them down into 14th overall. The Marazzi brothers, who weren't in such great shape this morning, they've hit the 10th place in that race, which is a good for them, but they would have to do something absolutely stellar in race number 9. And then the bottom 3, bottom of the leaderboard, Hornos and Revkin, Szabo and Moss, and Postma and Natucci. Woo! Wow. Okay, so we're going to have race number 9 of the qualifiers to make that top 10 race cut. I've lost a rum and coke and a beer, so I'm going to go and commiserate just for 5 minutes. We're going to be back in about 10 minutes. The race officers are turning these races around super fast, but come back in just a moment. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes, just after the 5-minute warning signal. That's it from us for just a moment. welcome back to the Star Sailors League here in Nassau, the Bahamas. We're in the Nassau Yacht Club, and we're under 5 minutes towards the race number 9. And it's all getting pretty tasty here in Nassau for the Star Sailors League. Remember, all the sailors are trying to get into the top 10 to go through to tomorrow. We have 18 crews, 36 of the top sailors in the world, some of the best ranked star sailors on the Star Sailors League, plus some wild card entries. People like Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada coming in, and some Finn sailors like Ed Wright, and some legends like Paul Kayard. And let's have a look at the leaderboard after 8 races. Top of that leaderboard by a country mile is Scheid and Prada. Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada. Now, we thought they were going to do one race today and take a bit of a break, but the boat is still out there. The tracker's still telling us that they're schmilling around, so we'll see that in a minute. And Mendelblatt and Fatih, Brian Fatih and Mark Mendelblatt up into second place overall, and they've nudged Negri and Lambertenghi. Mellerby and Strube fourth, Rohard Ponceau fifth, Staniek and Klein in sixth, Kuznirovic and Zicki in seventh. Now we get into the little crunchy parts of the results. Johannes Polgar and Marcus Coy, the Germans, in 8th position on 63 points. So Augie Diaz and John von Schwartz on 64, and Andy Maloney and Tyler Bjorn on 10th place on 67 points. So 63 points, 64 points, 67 points. Very close. And chasing at their heels is Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry on 72 points. Then Ed Wright and Paul Pedersen in 12th position, and Hespik and Olesen in 13th. Lobert Rambo down on 77 points. And then the Marazzi brothers, I think it's probably a bit too much to ask for these guys now to make that top 10, with Hornos and Revkin, Zabo and Moss, and Postma and Natucci. So we're going to fly out virtually to the race course and catch up with Loué Habib, our on-the-water commentator, out on the race course. Loué, about a minute to go towards the start. The boat's lining up, and we can see in our picture to the left of screen the white boat. That is your position. You're seeing the pin end of the line, and you can see the boats coming towards you. Talk us through it, Loué.
Well, the tension, I mean, for this last qualifying race, I'll tell you why Prada and Scheid are still out there. They made some excuse about not being happy with their upwind speed, but the truth is, he's put the gloves on and he cannot take them off. It's just such fantastic racing here. The interesting, Maloney has taken up a position to the left-hand side of the course. Luca Medina's telling me he still likes the right, so, but that's where Robert Scheid is. He's over on the left-hand side. So we've got a very interesting battle here between Maloney and Bjorn and Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. And I'm pretty sure that's Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry nailing the pin end. Yes, it is them. So Kayard's nailed the pin end, but it's a general recall. Yet again, we have a general recall, the third of the day. So that's a general recall with Kayard taking the pin. And it was a blanket start, but virtually all of them must have been over. Back to you, Digby.
Thank you very much, Loué. Well, looking good for Paul Kayard there. He nailed that pin end, it looked like to us on Virtual Eye. And interesting to see Ed Wright and Pedersen and Scheid and Prada also down towards that pin end. That's how they started the last race, and it did Scheid and Prada a world of good. So we're in the studio, and we're in the Nassau Yacht Club. It's a great honour to have Dennis Connor here with us, observing Virtual Eye and looking at these races, some of the best star sailors on the circuit at the moment, and then some legends from other classes like the Finn. As they reset the line and the boats go back, Dennis, let's talk about Paul Kayard for a minute. He's climbed up to 11th place, and now he's got it all to play for here.
Digby, he hasn't been sailing the boats too much, and I expected him to improve with a little bit of experience. He hasn't sailed too much with this crew, and this morning he was fired up to come out and make up for embarrassing performance for yesterday. And he showed his true strength. He could have won that race quite easily. He had the lead, but Scheid's just too fast downwind. So here he is gambling on a lured-in start, hoping the left is good, and trying to make up those 5 points he needs to get into the top 10 and have a chance to win the big prize. So all in all, good on you, Paul Kayard, for today. Robert Schleit, he had an ordinary start, went the wrong way on the first beat, managed to sail back into the race on the run and hold on upwind. And he just looks to me like he's in a star league of his own, and he's going to be very, very tough to beat. Very impressive performance. But it's great to see all these wonderful sailors here, and Nassau is one of the best venues in the world to find a true test of sailors. It's tricky, but not that tricky. There's current, but not too much. It's really skill, sailing, boat handling, sailing at its finest.
Nicely put, Dennis. So the line's been reset. We're just rejigging our virtual eye at the moment. We'll see the restart in a few moments' time, and as soon as we get a clock up, we'll see how it's going. Now, we're just having is this a little replay, Paul, of that start? Okay, so let's see who were the culprits. It's quite a bunch in the middle of the fleet. We're just replaying that last start there, and we can zoom down and look into the middle of the fleet. And there are a couple of boats in the middle there. The Marazzi brothers were looking good, and we'll just zoom right down into there. Who was that there? Szabo and Moss, and Lobert and Rambeau. So
the race committee probably could have caught them and disqualified them from the start, but they're trying to give everybody a fair chance. So they'll have another go at it here, but they're all blanket start.
Yeah,
could very easily have gone off without a hitch, with KR nailing the lured in and having a chance to win the race again.
Well, Scheidler, I think, was probably over as well. So all these sailors, the nerves kicking in, and a lot is riding on this race number 9. And we're not far off the warning signal, I believe. I'm just going to check with Bridie. Bridie, how far are we into it? Okay, under 3 minutes. Okay, Dennis, under 3 minutes towards the next race start, and all to play for. The boats jostling around up above the committee end. Our commentator, Louis Habib, is in the white boat just off the pin end. Louis, I hope you're still with us, and we've got about 2 minutes 30 to go. And I'm just going to come to you, Louis, and any update on the race committee, any black flagging?
Negative, Digby. We do not have a black flag flying. Digby, would it be all right to ask Dennis Connor a question?
Yeah, go ahead. He's sitting right next to me.
Okay, Dennis, if I may ask you, if you were Andy Maloney and you knew that Paul Kayard, you need to put 5 points between you, what would you do if you were Andy Maloney, Dennis?
Well, Kayard obviously was looking to hit a corner and have a chance to gain those points, so probably wouldn't get too far away from him. But the racing's so close, with a minute at the top mark between front to back, it can go any way, and trying to cover a guy is pretty much impossible. So if KR breaks free, I expect him to go for a win, go for the juggler, and try to make that top 10, because he doesn't want to be embarrassed here against the best sailors in the world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dennis. So carry on, please. Carry on.
Well, okay, interesting observation though, Louis, because there are 5 points between Andy Maloney in 10th position and Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry in 11th position. So I don't want to put any money on this one. Lost out quite badly on the drinks in that last race, but I'd like to see Paul Kayard get into that top 10. And great racing, about a minute to go, boats lining up. Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada in the middle of that pack, and they're all up towards just behind the committee boats. Louis Habib has probably got the same view that we have on Virtual Eye, and I'm going to come back to Louis. Louis, how does it look?
Well, I'll tell you how it looks. Everybody is over at the committee boat end, and there's a few boats heading down this way. But I heard Dennis say that he thinks it's going to be a general recall, and I think that's a pretty good guess. So we're just waiting. We're just going into this now, but it's a huge ball of boats up at the committee boat end. There are quite a few that are the other side of the committee boat. So I think this is going to be a right-on punch-up in front of the race committee. But we're just going in now. They are less than, 3-4 boat lengths from the line, just ragging their sails. And with a minute to go now, they are well early. There's some boats well early, including that looks like Maloney. Looks like Maloney is very much in danger of being over here. Very much in danger, and he cannot go anywhere. He's got a whole load of boats behind him, and he's just got to hope and pray nobody pushes him over. I would imagine the young man is very much in a nervous position right now. He's managing to hold off, though, and he is not over at the moment. Other boats are coming round him, but he's got no pace at all. Most of the boats are ragging their sails. They've all scrubbed speed. They're all looking a bit early. And we're just coming into it now, and literally there's just a wall of stars here. It's quite incredible. A pack of at least 7 or 8 boats up at the committee boat end. And Maloney has managed to, God knows how, he's got himself out of that stick. He's now powered on, and he's reached, beautiful start for Maloney now in the middle of the pack. Fantastic start. I wouldn't like to call it, but that was a fantastic start by the young Kiwi. He's done really well. He's in clear air, but there's a pile of boats up on the right-hand side, which is probably the favoured side. But back to you in the studio, Digby.
Thanks very much, Louis. So also great start from the Brazilians in the middle of the line, just fourth boat up, and the French boats in the middle of the pack there. And let's see where Paul Cayard got off. So great start from Andy Maloney, and Paul Cayard looking fairly good right in the middle of that fleet there. So good start from Maloney and Cayard. I would say, Dennis, that I'm not sure who I'd rather be, Paul Cayard or Andy Maloney. Somebody ducking right behind, I think that's Postma right behind Andy Maloney. So there's Cayard and Maloney in the middle of the fleet there, and they're quite close together. That's going to be pretty interesting to see how that pans out. Cayard just tacked over. John, if we can keep Cayard's label up there. We're talking about Andy Maloney and Paul Cayard. Those two in 10th and 11th position, and interesting to see Cayard tack away. Doesn't want to engage, I don't think.
Digby, Maloney doesn't really have much chance. He's trapped on the starboard tack. Can't tackle without taking some sterns. Cayard's off and going on port. It's going to be a bit of a flip of a coin.
Okay, well, pretty even split. Half the fleet going right, and nearly half the fleet going left. And interesting to see Scheid and Prada heading left with Rohard and Ponceau. And we're zooming down to the middle of the fleet. Kuznirovic crossing behind Negri and Lambertenghi, just behind Kuznirovic there. Postma and Nutici. And there is Cayard and Sperry. So not in such a bad, it's not a bad position to be in, is it, Dennis?
No, I don't think it's looking too good for Paul. Maloney's going to have a ordinary race, and Paul's a bit behind. So if I were a betting man, I'd be going for the top 10 right now, and don't expect much results. All trying to get into Nicholas's Swiss francs.
Rock and roll. So Augie Diaz right over on the right-hand side. He's not doing too badly. He's 9th overall with 64 points, so he needs a reasonable top 10 position. And we're going to say cheerio to Dennis. Thank you very much for your input, Dennis. Great to have you with us here in Nassau in the Bahamas. So Dennis, confident of Paul doing a good performance, I think. You know, he's an America's Cupper. He's a fierce competitor, and he's taking it on, and not so confident with Andy Maloney and Tyler Bjorn right in the middle. But we don't know. It's very early days in this race. In the commentary booth right next to me, I'm joined again by Michel, a spokesman for the Star Sailors League. And, what's going on there? Maloney and Bjorn doing a penalty. I might head out back to Louis Habib. Louis Habib out on the water. We've just seen Andy Maloney doing a 360. Can you talk about that at all? Could you see any of that?
Yes, Digby, Virtual Eye has got that bang on. Maloney was cross-tacking with Zabo, and the jury were right there. They called Maloney. He's done 2 massively quick penalty turns, but he's been pushed over to the left-hand side of the course, which probably isn't favourite. Probably worse than that, he's down there with Scheidt, Stanjek, and also another one of the top boats. Those guys look like they're just going for speed tests, for upwind speed tests. So he's in with some really hot boats that are probably going to be climbing all over him. And I'd say Maloney's in trouble down there on the left after taking that penalty turn. So it's still all to play for here. I really wouldn't like to call this, but the right-hand side is probably still favourite. Over on the right-hand side, the furthest right boat, Malibu, is going well. But inside him is the German team of Polgar and Coy. And Virtual Eye will probably say it better than me, but I'd say that Polgar and Coy are probably leading on this beat at the moment. Back to you, Digby.
Well, thank you very much, Louis. Thanks, Louis. Appreciate that. So it must have been an infringement on the start line for Maloney and Bjorn, and umpires catching up with them to do that penalty turn. Not great news for the young New Zealander, Michel. He's got a lot of work to do now. He's furthest left, looking up the course, and this is going to be quite a tough break for the young Kiwi.
Yeah. Yes. We see his strategies coming on the line on the left part of the course, and we will see what's happened. And the end of this race in the upwind, in the perhaps 3 or 4 less last 100 meters, it's sometimes a big left here.
Well, as we go through the boats, we can see Maloney and Bjorn taking that left-hand side. They're the furthest left, looking up the course. We'll run through the whole fleet. At the moment, Louis, it's looking like the left-hand side is being favoured on our leaderboard, on our lead line. Mendelblatt and Farty also on the left-hand side. They've tacked over to port, and Staniek and Klein in our lead line is overall lead over Scheid and Prada in second place overall. Mendelblatt and Farty in third. Roja Ponceau also in that little clump there, and that's quite a nice position for them. So big gap in the middle as we move across, and here we see Paul Kayard tacking right over now, back in towards the middle of the course, and so yeah, they're a little bit far back. Dennis is still in the studio saying, well, they're slipping behind a little bit. Szabo and Moss, nice racing from these guys, crossing right in front of Postma and Natucci and Kuznidovic and Zitsky. Diego Negri and Sergio Lambertenghi, we know they've qualified. They're out of the danger, so perhaps they're just taking a little bit easier. But the Marazzi brothers lying 13th in this race, just trying to climb up, just gone up to 12th. Virtual Eye is telling us that. They have a lot of work to do in this race if they want to make that top 10 cut. And further out towards the right, we have Hornos and Revkin, Lobau, Rambo, and Hesbeek and Olesen. Wright and Pedersen, Diaz, von Schwartz, Augie Diaz, he's in 9th overall going into this race. Only one more race to hit that top 10 qualifying to go into tomorrow's quarterfinals. Polgar and Coy also far out to the right with Mayubi and Strube. Wow, Louis Habib, we can see your media boat right on the right-hand side. You're behind Mayubi and Strube and Polgar and Coy and Diaz and von Schwartz. How's it looking on the right-hand side of the course, Louis?
Well, I can probably tell you better than that, Digby. I just had a chat with Luca Medina, the Brazilian team's coach. He thinks it's pretty even. The left and the right, there's not much in it. But I asked him to pick out the boat he thought was doing the best. And he went for Hesbeck and Olsen here on the right. And the interesting one is as well is Ed Wright is doing a great job over here on the right-hand side, along with the Norwegian Pedersen. So Wright and Pedersen doing extremely well. It would be very interesting to have the numbers in front of me that you have, because obviously the Danes and the Brit have got a crack at this top 10, Digby. Have a look at the maths and tell us what we're doing. But Luca Medina really likes to look at the Danes at the moment and the Brit. Ed Wright, over to you, Digby.
Well, Virtual Eye is giving us quite a strong indication that the left-hand side is paying, and that's the mathematics, but it is slightly different out there on the water, and I'm kind of inclined to go with Luca Medina. You know, he's Robert Scheid's coach and knows what he's talking about. But we're looking at the projected points table, very clever piece of maths, trying to figure out who is going to make that top 10 cut. And right there in 11th, Paul Kayard, 12th position on this race, and that puts him in 11th overall, just outside the top 10 cut, as is Maloney and Bjorn. And they're in 17th place in this race, and they're having a bit of a shocker. It could have been a disastrous start for them, and as you say, Wright and Pedersen doing well. They just climbed up to 10th place in this race and 12th overall, so they're in the hunt, and only a few points between 9th overall and 12th overall, just 7 points in it. So all to play for. I think a little bit further down, Lobert, Rambeau, they're going to be struggling. They're 12th in this race. Marazzi brothers 11th in this race. That's Loué dialing in. Plug him in again. So Loué missed all that, but never mind. He's right there on the water. So I'm here with Michel Niklaus, one of the founders and the spokesman for the Star Sailors League. And Michel, this is getting mathematically pretty interesting, and we still don't know if the left is going to pay or the right is going to pay. We're going to find out very, very soon. But the leaderboard is giving us Staniek and Klein from Germany on that leader line, with Scheid and Prada right next to them, Mendelblatt and Fatih in the mix. So Virtual Eye is giving us left-hand favoured right now over the right-hand favoured. But we're going to find out very, very soon. These guys are converging, and it's going to be some interesting crossing coming up, Michel.
Yeah, and what we can say about this sailor now, it's that a lot of these, I mean, together we saw 10 minutes before that, I mean, 5 boats were already in the final, and they are still here in the play. And I mean, it's very fair play to make this last race, to be inside for all the fleet. These guys are very fair play. I mean, congratulations.
Well, I think that's a good point, because you know, Scheid and Prada didn't have to go out today, and then we heard that they were going to do one race, and you know, Robert Scheid last night was kind of you know, humming and hawing. I know that he was debating with Luca, and Luca was saying, you know, well, strategically you should not go out and rest yourself. But Robert Scheid thought it was bad form. So some gentlemen out here on the race course, and that's rather nice for the Star Sailors League. Now we're looking at some VMGs. The yellow number there, the yellow angle, is the velocity made good, and quite interesting to compare. 4 knots from Mendelblatt, and we're comparing with, I think that's Klein and Staniek, and we're just having a look at their VMG. So the pink arrow is their boat speed, the yellow arrow is their actual velocity made good, they're what they're gaining towards the top mark. And looks like Mendelblatt and Fatih doing rather well, doing some better VMGs, better numbers than Staniek, and we could see an overtake there. And there is Scheid and Prada tacking over, and Staniek and Klein tacking over, and let's see if Mendelblatt can cross ahead. No, or are they going to have to duck them? Interesting crossing. Oh no, lee bow tack right underneath them. So pretty tight in the middle of this fleet, and that's seen Scheid and Prada take the lead on the line going up towards the top mark. So Loué, very interesting in the middle of the race course, a real bun fight. 4 boats very, very close together. Scheid and Prada, Staniek and Klein, Mendelblatt and Fatih, super close. And looks like one of those guys is going to get to the top. A little bit of match racing going on here, Michel. Pretty exciting.
What we can say, just before we said that they are very gentlemen to sail today, the conditions are still well to sail. I mean, with 25 knots, Dennis Conner said 15 minutes before that with 25 knots or more, perhaps they don't sail today. But conditions are like champagne condition. You said this.
Yeah. Champagne sailing, really perfect. There's not a cloud in the sky. There's perfect wind. Loué, I think we're looking at about 12 to 15 knots out there on the race course. Really nice sailing and quite a smooth sea. So very interesting racing in the middle of the fleet, Louis. I'm just going to catch up to you very quickly, Louis. Just tell us how's it looking to you?
Well, you're absolutely right about the conditions, but I tell you what, Digby, not only the sailors are circling, but also the sharks. The photographers on board spotted the shark just now, took some pictures, and the sharks are definitely circling here, and a couple of them are very old fish. Particularly, I have to pull out Augie Diaz and Von Schwartz, who are doing extremely well on the right. However, Polgar and Coy crossed the Danes on the right-hand side, so that's a good indication that Polgar and Coy are winning the right-hand side. Virtual Eye's got Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada winning on the left-hand side. I think the Diaz situation will probably come into the maths as well, and Maloney down there in 17th. We could see another shift for that all-important 10th place for that cut-off. So they're approaching the top mark now. We've probably got about 400 or 500 meters to go, and we're bombing it up here to get to the top mark, and we'll give you all the news when those boats get there. So back to you in the studio, Digby. Very tense moments here at the top mark on this last qualifying race for the Star Sailor League final.
Thanks, Louis. And I think this is we're about to hit a very crunchy moment in this whole competition as the boats cross, and we'll get to the top mark and see how it all shakes out. Virtual Eye is still telling us that Mendelblatt and Fatih and Scheid and Prada and Staniek and Klein, that left-hand side going up the beat is paying off for these guys on the left-hand side. So in terms of real, just pure distance to the top, it's looking like the left-hand side has been favouring those boats, but we'll find out very, very soon how that's going to pan out. And further down, Hespik and Olsen in the middle of the pack there. They're looking in a good position in the middle of the fleet. And there is Diaz and Von Schwartz. And looks like they're bang on the ley line, hammering towards that top mark. And they're in 10th here. But they don't have to do any more tacks. So it's looking like the guys at the top have got 2 more tacks to do. So you may be very well right that the right-hander was looking good. But I'm happy with Diaz and Von Schwartz on that ley line. They're looking absolutely sweet. Hesbeck and Olesen in the middle. Unfortunately for Maloney and Bjorn, Tyler Maloney and Andy Maloney and Tyler Bjorn, it's a terrible result for them. 100 meters behind the leader, and they're going to have to pull out some kind of miracle. Kayard and Sperry also in a little bit of trouble. They're on the right-hand side, and you can see them just trailing behind Wright and Pedersen. So, you know, there's a story there, and we'll see how they get on as they go around that top mark. But some very close ducking and tacking. Kayard and Sperry just lee bowing. I think it was Wright just there. Ed Wright, and some crossing going on, and we've got Scheid and Prada and Polgar and Coy just steaming across on port tack with Kuznierovic and Lobert Rambo, those guys on starboard tack. Let's zoom down a little bit there, John, and have a look and see who gets the better of those cross tacks on that one. Diaz, Von Schwartz still on that ley line, and they're just scrambling in towards Postma and Natucci. So Diaz and Von Schwartz, I think they're going to scream in. Very cunning. They've moved up to 5th overall for Augie Diaz and John Von Schwartz. I think it's looking extremely good for these guys for this next mark rounding. Polgar and Coy steaming in on port tack, right of way for Diaz and Von Schwartz. Polgar and Coy are going to have to tack right underneath Diaz and Schwartz. I don't know if they're going to cross them. Let's see on Virtual Eye. It looks like they're just squeezing across the bow of Diaz and Von Schwartz, and this is like threading, this is like knitting going on here. The boats just threading into each other, and look on the right hand side, the red arrow of Scheid and Prada. So that left hand side was looking great for those guys. They're going to make that top mark first with Mendelblatt and Fatih in second. Louis Habib, fantastic racing by the Brazilians. Over to you, Louis.
Well, and that was just extraordinary there from Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada. They were overlapped with Mendenblatt and just got round. Medenblatt's coming round just now, and then there's a whole ball of boats. It's the Danish who are around in third. The Danish have pulled up to third. Then we've got French team. I'm trying to see. I think it's Rohan. Just trying to check out the bow number of. Yes, Rohan. Rohan's in fourth there. And then you've got Polgar and Coy as well. Polgar and Coy coming round. I'm trying to pick out Ed Wright. Ed Wright is a bit further back. Yeah, Ed Wright's lost out there on that one. I don't know what this is doing to the leaderboard, but I would say Maloney out of the picture. Is Kyle out of the picture? Is it Diaz that's coming? I really don't know. It's quite incredible here. I can't believe how calm they all are out here. Maybe they're running out of breath. But at the top mark here, the Norwegians have taken an early jibe, and it's all going on up here, Digby. Have a look at the numbers and let us know. Poor old Maloney is the second to last. So poor luck there for Maloney. He's got a hell of a lot to do here. But back to you in the studio, Digby, for this final downwind leg.
Well, thank you very much, Louis, and incredible excitement there. So that left-hand side going up the beat definitely paid off. It's great to see Diaz and von Schwartz. They took the right, and they're in 8th position overall as the boats go round the spreader mark. I think we can be pretty sure that Maloney and Bjorn, Andy Maloney, the young Kiwi who we spoke to just earlier today, and it's not him, and I think Kayard and Sperry are in trouble in 16th place overall. Now we're going to do a little bit of quick mathematics with Virtual Eye and try and fly up the overall standings on the fly. We're working these out on the fly, and they're provisional, and they're all going to change, but let's see the shape of the competition in race number 9, and Hesbeek and absolutely superb for those guys, as it is for Diaz and von Schwartz. 9th place in this race, keeping them in 9th position overall. So superb sailing from Augie Diaz, 59 from Miami. Great to see one of the more experienced sailors doing extremely well. And then Polgar and Coy on 8th, Kuznirovic and Zicki looking good, 7th place in this race, keeping them 7th overall. Staniek and Klein looking absolutely fantastic, 8th place in this race and 6th overall. And then into the confident numbers going through to tomorrow, Negri, Lambertenghi, Melleby and Strube, Rohard and Ponceau 4th in this race has ramped them up the leaderboard to 3rd overall. Mendelblatt and Farty in 2nd with a 2nd in this race, and now they're chasing at the heels of Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada. So the overall standings reflecting a little bit the overall leaderboard right at the top, with Scheid and Prada leading overall and in this race. Mendelblatt and Farty 2nd overall and in this race, and quite interesting to see Rohard and Ponceau 4th overall and 5th or 4th overall, 5th or 4th in this race. So that's how it's shaping up. It's looking quite good for the top 5. I think they're all pretty confident, but it's going to be a tough battle in that middle of the fleet. So now we're going to go back out onto the water and catch up with Louis Habib, tracking along downside these boats, getting a good sideways look at what's going on. Louis, just heard a bit of mathematics from us. What can you see on the water?
Well, I just had a chat with Luca Medina, and we've got a big split in the downwind there. And excuse me, I got that wrong last time. This is not the last downwind leg. There's another one after it. But the boats on the right-hand side look like the guys who are consolidating themselves in the top 10, staying out of trouble. And the boats on the left are looking to make places up. That's the only reason we can say why they're going down that way. So we've got a split in the feet. The boats on the right are being much more conservative and basically they know they're okay. And the boats to the left, they're trying to make up places. So we'll see what happens on this downwind leg. Again, it's a place where different places can change, and we'll see what's happening down by the bottom mark. If there's any incidents in the meantime, we will let you know. But back to you in the studio, Digby.
Very much, Louis. Thanks, Louis. Well, we can see where you are, top of the screen on the media boats, and you've got a pretty good line of sight to Kayard and Sperry over there, so keep your eyes on Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. They climbed away up to 11th overall going into this race, but it's not looking fantastic for them in 17th overall, which is what Virtual Eye. So these guys, their backs to the wall, Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry, and they've got to pull out some pure magic here on this downwind run. And as you say, we're on the first lap. We've got 2 laps of this windward-leeward course. Still quite a long way to go. 58-meter lead for Scheid and Prada. The Brazilians just kind of showing everybody a clean pair of heels, and we're seeing a bit of a masterclass, I think, in star sailing and championship strategy from Scheid and Prada. They're really nailing this, and they look totally on fire. Meyer and Strube also showing a super regatta series of results with a 3rd, an 8th, a 10th, a 4th, a 14th, 3rd, 4th, 12th, and now they're in 2nd place. So very cool sailing from these guys, as is the quiet man Mark Mendelblack, sailing with Brian Fatty in 3rd in this race. So beginning to see a very defined shape towards the top runners and riders, the top sailors here, and it's getting interesting. Now in this race, the Marazzi brothers climbing up to 6th place, which is pretty cool. Kuznirovic in 7th, and Rohard and Ponceau in 8th position. So massive drag race down towards the bottom marker. They're about halfway down the course, and I wonder if we could fly up some boat speeds, John, from Virtual Eye, just kind of get a feel for how fast some of these guys are going, and compare across the course. And we're talking about 6 knots to 5.6 knots. So as they pick up a nice wave, they can just top over 7 knots, and as they come off the waves, down to about 5.2.
We were speaking yesterday with Mikael Hestbeck from Denmark, and he tell that upwind he was quite with a good speed, but he was always searching the speed downwind, and we see back this way that it's some problem for him, because he lose some 20 meters now on the head. I hope for him that he can stay here at the thicks.
Well, all to play for. We're in the middle of the race now. Hornos and Revkin bringing up the tail end. These youngsters, 25 and 23, and they're very just delighted to be here. And part of the philosophy, Michel, as you have been saying, is to bring some of the youngsters into this level of racing, and you felt that that was extremely important. You've been setting up this league with Xavier Rohard and some of the sailors, and very determined to emphasize the athleticism of the sailors, and it's less about the boat itself, more about the sailors. And this is going to be quite a nice little home for some of these sailors to keep sailing and keep on the professional circuit.
And yeah, I mean, to speak about the athletics skills, I mean, the athletes are asking to open this Rule 42, and I mean, here we can see that it's really physically, and we need to push in this direction.
So Rule 32 means they can pump and ooch and rock the boat. There are no restrictions on moving around in the boat and using some kinetic energy. And of course they don't have spinnakers on the Star class. They have a little pole just pushing out the foresail, the jib, and then the crewman will stand right on the foredeck in front of the mast and moving the boat all the way around. So our Virtual Eye picture is quite smooth, but out on the race course these guys will be rocking the boat all over the place, and no one rocks that boat more than Bruno Prada, the crew of Robert Scheid. Those two been sailing the Star together, and bronze medalists together in the Star, and you know, absolutely superstar sailors, and great to see them back together for this regatta, and great to see them, as you say, racing again for the 9th race.
Yes, and we can speak about Scheid and Prada. These last 5 years, they don't find so much master in front of this guy. Only perhaps Jan Percy can do it.
Well, John from Virtual Eye just showing what this tool can do. We get a bit of an underwater keel profile. The third crewman, as Matt Kuzniewicz described the keel to us yesterday, with the rudder on the back. There's quite a lot of weight down there, and extremely long boom for this boat. No spinnaker, but a massive mainsail and a very wobbly, thin mast, just to kind of depower the boat in a lot of breeze. But huge, great booms. Scheid and Prada jibing away, jibe to jibe, extending their lead to 66, 67 meters at the front of the fleet, and they're hammering down towards that bottom gate. Boats spread out, and this is where they'll all compress, and really Kayard and Sperry in 16th. We'll see how they come up. They've still got another upwind downwind leg to pull back some places, and 15th place Lobert and Rambeau. So those two battling away. They're very close on the leaderboard. Andy Maloney having a bit of a nightmare with Tyler Bjorn down in 17th place. They had a bit of an issue on the start line, weren't exactly sure what penalty they received, but just a few moments after the start they were doing a 360 and exonerating their penalty, which was pretty bad news for them. Youngster, nerves, you know, a lot of pressure on those starts. We're going to fly out to the water and chat to Loué Habib, who's seeing the mass of boats steam right towards you. Loué, how's it looking?
Yes, you know, as you're pointing out, we've got the Brazilian team of Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada approaching the gate. Interestingly enough, they've gone for the left-hand side of the gate, which would suggest that they're going to go up the left-hand side of the beat. They could have gone to either, and it looks like they like the left on the beat. In that pack with them, interestingly, is the Danish team, Hesbeck and Olesen, who are doing extremely well, and also Polgar and Koy. So that's an interesting area there for the maths, the numbers. The Norwegian team of Mellenbu and the American Strube had a very good downwind leg. They look like they're heading to the right-hand side of the gate, but they rounded that top mark in virtually last place, jibed early, and looks like the right definitely paid. At least it did for them. But it's very close here. You know, Robert Scheid and Bruno Prada have got away. Next round the mark is Medenblatt and Fatty, followed by the Danes, Hesbeck and Olesen, and as I was saying, Polgar and Koy. And then there's a whole bundle of boats here. I have to say, Andy Maloney and Bjorn are not giving this up. They have made a massive catch up there. They might be at the back of the pack, but they just might be able to get back in here on this upwind leg if they get something out of it. But we'll just have to wait and see. But we've virtually got the whole fleet round now. Digby, I'm going to hand back to you to the studio for the last upwind leg of the qualifying rounds of the Star Sailor League finals.
Thanks, Loué. And just give us, before you zoom off up the course, just tell us what you can see of Paul Kayard. We're seeing him round the mark now. How's Paul getting on?
Yes, indeed. Paul Kayard has just gone round the mark. He's only a couple of boat lengths in front of the New Zealand guy. He's only a couple of boat lengths in front of Maloney. I know that's sort of out of the picture now, but at the moment he does not have 5 boats between him and Maloney. So yeah, Paul Kayard is not looking good for the cut, nor's Maloney. But you know, we've still got 2 more legs, and as we found out, the start there with Maloney, anything can happen. So it's still all to play for, and it's not over till it's over. Back to you, Digby.
Well, thank you very much, Loué. And we saw on the last upwind leg, the first upwind leg, that the left-hand side paid rather well for Scheid and Prada and Mendelblatt and Fatih, and they're sticking to that left-hand side at the moment. And right now, as we speak, Paul Kayard is also sticking to the left-hand side with Diaz and von Schwartz and Lobert and Rambeau. So kind of interesting little battle. Maloney, Bjorn, Lobert, Rambeau, Kayard and Sperry. These guys are all in a pretty dangerous position in the overall rankings. And then a whole bunch of boats heading out towards the right and perhaps cleaner air, I'm not sure. So I might just ask John to fire up the overall leaderboards into this race. We're working these out on the fly, and be interested to see how that whole shape of the competition is looking. Kayard and Sperry up to 12th place now. So, you know, these guys are climbing, Michel. They're just working their way up, and this means that they're in 12th place overall. So super, super tight on that overall leaderboard. And this is provisional. We're working out on the fly. Fantastic mathematics going on. And Maloney and Bjorn are not out of it. They're not completely out of it. They've worked their way up to 14th and 13th. They're now in 11th position overall. And they're just 4 points behind, or 4 race places, I should say, behind Hesbeck and Olesen, who have made the top 10. Michel just taking a quick picture there. I think he wants to see how the Marazzi brothers are getting on. They're 8th in this race on 88 points, so they're 10 race places behind making the cut. That's going to be a tall order for those guys. But I think Kayard and Sperry are not out of this game at the moment. They're in 12th position. They claimed a few more scalps on that downwind run. Bjorn and Andy Maloney also are not out of this game. But what a stellar result for Hesbeck and Olesen. They were 13th going into today, Hesbeck and Olesen, and a 6th and a 3rd have pulled them up into the top 10. And that is probably the story of the day, I think, for the performance of these guys. Also, Diaz and von Schwartz, they were 9th going into today, and they're doing some very, very consistent sailing. Really, fleet racing, all about consistency. And just look at those race results: an 8, a 7, a 7, a 13, an 8. They've dropped to 19th, and then a 12th, 9th, and 11th. So they're 11th in this race. They're still in the running. They're only a few points between them and Hesbeck and Olesen. And then we're getting up into the confidence territory, I would say, Michel, with Polgar and Coy. Super racing, 3rd position in this race and 8th overall. And then we're going up the leaderboard to the guys who I think we can safely put some beers on: Kuznierovic and Zitsky, Staniak and Klein, Rohard and Ponceau, and then the absolute definites into the top 10 tomorrow. Meliby and Strube, 6th in this race. Consistent racers, Negri and Lambertenghi, who told us they were going to take it easy today. So, you know, that 15th and 12th position in this race shouldn't take too much notice. I think they're just taking it easy, trying a few things out. And then 2nd in this race, and overall, Mark Mendelblatt and Brian Farty. And then 1st, oh, look at that scoreline. That's just ridiculous, isn't it, Michel? The brilliant Brazilians. You know, what can you say? They're almost in a league of their own. And look at the red line, the gain line. So anyway, the big story, I think, Louis, if you're listening, is Kayard and Maloney. You know, these guys are battling away, and can one of them climb up for the rest of this race? Can they make that top 10? I think it's all going to be about Kayard and Maloney for the next leg and a half as they climb up wind. I'm going to jump back out to Louis Habib. I don't know if you were hearing some of that. You're probably repositioning. I can see you're over by Paul Kayard. What can you tell us about how Paul and Austin are sailing?
Well, what I could say is that obviously they're right in the mix. The interesting thing is that Paul Kayard with Austin Sperry up against Maloney and Bjorn, they are very close to each other on the water. I still think that the same thing applies, and that's to say Kayard needs to put 5 points on him. I don't think that's changed, has it? So, you know, the long and the short of it is, at the moment, Maloney's got the better of Kayard. But I can't do the maths out here that you've got in front of you. And I'd like to know how Ed Wright and Pedersen are doing in that mix, because they're doing very well on the water out here. Are they in with a chance of making the cut? Over to you, Digby.
All right, I'll ask John from Virtual Eye to fly up the overall standings, working these results out on the fly. Louis right behind Paul Kayard, Lobert Rambeau right into it. So let's look at some numbers. I'll just give you a few numbers. So 10th overall on 78 points is Hesbeck and Olesen, and then 4 points behind Maloney and Bjorn. So Maloney and Bjorn need to climb up 4 places. They're 15th in this race. They need to climb up 4 places to get into that top 10. Kayard is on 86 points. So 4 points between Maloney and Kayard. Maloney and Bjorn, Kayard and Sperry, 4 points. And here's Paul Kayard on 14th place. So those guys are placed 15th and 14th, and they need to climb up quite a few points. I think Maloney could possibly do it by if he can do a romp from the back of the pack and overtake a few boats. He needs 4 boats. He needs 4 or 5 boats to do it, and Kayard needs looks like 8 boats to do it. So those are the mass: 4 or 5 boats, about 8 boats. Louis, you're still out there on the water. Do you think that's possible?
Yes, I do. I mean, the eyeball on the water here is that the Germans on the right-hand side, that's both the German pairs, Staniak Klein and Polgar and Coy, are absolutely scorching up here. But Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry are in a very good position, not too far behind them. It's very difficult to call. The Maracci brothers have just tacked at the far over right-hand side of the course, and they might be laying it there. There's now a bit of tide pushing down, so they could have tacked just before the ley line there. But the Germans looking very good on the inside. That's both the German pairs. But Kayard is tucked in there on the right-hand side, and the boats you were mentioning, I think the Danes are looking very good. The Danes are quite significantly ahead of Paul Kayard. So I think at the moment that it's going to be the Danes that hold on to that 10th spot at the top mark. But as we know, downwind on that final leg, there can be a hell of a lot of places changed, Digby. So we're going to head up to the top mark now and call the action up there. And back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you very much. I think the story of the day is Michael Hesbeek and Klaus Olesen, both from Denmark. Michael Hesbeek, 4-time Olympian. He's done 2 Olympics in the 49 class, and he was 11th in the star at the last Olympics last year in the UK, and he's ranked 8th on the Star Sailors League from Copenhagen. And Klaus Olesen, he's done 2 Olympic campaigns. He was 9th in Athens and 11th at the London Games with Mikkel. So these guys have sailed together for a while. They're top class athletes. They are superstar Danish sailors, and they're in that 10th position, that qualifying position, and they really have pulled out some stunning racing today in these 2 races today. And looking a little bit at the VMGs there, Hesbeek and Olesen doing 4.6, and let's compare them to Scheid and Prada, 4.2, 3.6, 2.9, 3.6. So it's waving up and down, moving around the VMGs as they head up towards the top mark. They're beating upwind, 50 meters in it from first to second place, and they're heading out to the right-hand side of the course. And Hesbeek and Olesen doing fantastically well in race number 9. And if they keep that position, Michel, they'll have thoroughly deserved to be in the top 10.
Absolutely. They said this morning that the goal was to catch a place in the 10th place, in 10 best, and they did it. I mean, they do a great job downwind today. Downwind. They was searching the speed, searching technical things, and I mean they find this. They found. It's good.
So Hesbeek and Olesen just getting better and better through this regatta, and regattas have been known for some big upsets, and you never know. We could be seeing those in the top 4 tomorrow. But our account, I don't want to count any chickens before they hatch. Let's get to the end of this race to see if they stay in that top 10. But it's looking pretty good for Hesbeek and Olesen from Denmark. Now a little bit further behind them, we're looking at Kuznierovic. He's played a consistent series also and doing extremely well in this race. And Diaz and von Schwartz as well. I think they're looking okay. Postma and Natucci at the back. PJ Postma and Eduardo Natucci PJ, a Finn sailor, 4th at the Olympic Games last year, just missed out on a medal. He was in gold position for quite a while in the medal race, and that was a dramatic moment. Super top sailor, biggest smile here around the clubhouse, absolutely loving it, and those guys are certainly enjoying racing the Star. So as we approach the starboard ley line to the top mark, the final top mark rounding of race number 9 of the Star Sailors League, all about qualifying for the top 10. Scheid and Prada in their own world out at the front of the fleet, just showing us a masterclass of sailing, and Hesbik and Olesen, the stars of the day, I would say. Now, Polgar and Coy also have raced a super regatta. They were 8th going into today, and they're doing extremely well, as are Mendelblatt and Fatih. Maybe and Strub looking like they're on a favourable position over to the right-hand side of the course, and these guys looking strong. Marazzi brothers in the middle and struggling. I don't know where they are. Let's put the ranking for this race up, John, just the standings for this race. Overall, Marazzi brothers into 6th place, not bad at all. Just over 100 metres behind Scheid and Prada, so they could have quite a nice mark rounding. Rohart and Ponceau in 7th position. I think the French sailors, Rohart, bronze medalist in the Star, he's going to be pretty happy with that, 7th place.
For sure, for sure. But see, we spoke 15 minutes before about Mark Mendelblatt. He's in, consistent, 3rd, without any noise. He's here, very dangerous until all the race, very consistent. For tomorrow, this guy can win.
Well, he can indeed. Just to remind everybody that going into tomorrow, the top 10 boats overall will go into effectively a quarter-final, and the scoreboard is wiped clean. The top 7 boats in that race will then go into the semi-final, where the top 4 boats in that race will go into the final, and then whoever wins that race, the final race, will win the Star Sailors League trophy, the first ever trophy. And you have a fantastic crew trophy as well, named after Andrew Bart Simpson, a great star sailor, gold medalist in this class, sailing with Ian Percy, who unfortunately passed away, sailing the America's Cup boat Artemis in that tragic accident. Very nice gesture, I think, that is being appreciated by the star sailors around the world.
For sure, never we had before a special trophy for the crew. And I mean, we had with Andrew Bart Simpson, one of the best #1 in the world for the crew. It was really easy to understand that now we have to do something for crews. So one of our #1 disappear, but we win now such kind of prize.
Well, okay, that's all to come. We'll find out who the top crew will be tomorrow. And is that just going to be whoever wins, the top crewman gets a special prize?
Yeah, the top crew are very happy to see that this year they can win one prize. For us, I mean, now more 30 weeks, we have Bruno Prada as #1 in the league. And I mean, with the team, the Brazilian team, they can still here stay weeks long. A little bit like Nadal in tennis.
Well, there's quite a lot of work from the ATP Tennis Tour, a lot of inspiration from the ATP Tennis Tour to the structure of this competition. Now we're going to go back out onto the water and join Louis Habib, Hesbek and Olesen in 2nd place. Scheid and Prada obviously heading up towards that top mark. Good battle going on in the 2nd, 3rd and 4th places. Louis, tell us what you can see.
Well, as you say, the Brazilians are hitting the top mark first. There's some serious stuff going on with the Danes at the moment, who have just put in 2 tacks, which has really slowed them down. I really don't know why they did that. They were engaged with Mendelblatt. I don't know whether it was some sort of play. just to stay out of trouble. But the Danes have dropped a few places. I don't know what that does for the leaderboard, but the Danes had to put in a double tack now, and they're trying to pick up pace. And they are back down a couple of places. I think we should mention the American pairing of Medenblatt and Fatty. They have been incredibly consistent throughout this entire regatta, and it's all about when to peak. The Brazilians have been absolutely unstoppable and have got to be favourites to go through and go the whole way. But Medenblatt and Fatty have been very consistent, very quietly. They've been doing the business. We've just had another incident up here. We have the Norwegian Mellenbu with his American crew Struber doing penalty turns right in front of the top mark. And that's got to set the nerves jangling to the boats behind them. But they've pulled them off and they're now round that mark. I'm not sure what the penalty was for. Perhaps it was something to do with the Danes. I don't know. We've then got Rohan and Ponso round, along with the German pair of Staniek and Kleen. The poles and the Swish are overlapped going round the top mark. And it's all on here. I'm trying to pick out Paul Kayard. He's just sitting behind Diaz, trying to get the mojo going there, Austin Sperry. He's giving it his all. And get this, two boats behind them is Maloney and Bjorn. So Kayard has got two boats in between them, and we're heading for this downwind leg, but it looks like it won't matter because the Danes are looking extremely good. So we're going on the last leg of the qualifying round, all 9 races, a downwind finish, and at the moment the real significant 10th spot to make that final or the quarterfinal tomorrow looks like it's going to go to the Danish team of Hesbeck and Ollison. Back to you in the studio, Digby.
Well, thank you very much, Louis. Paul Kayard up to 13th place, just behind Diaz and Von Schwartz. Zebo and Moss in 11th. Negri and Lambertenghi in 10th, and the Marazzi brothers climbing up to 9th. So fair race for the Marazzi brothers. We'll just let them all go round this spreader mark, and the boat spreading out. The Marazzi brothers firing off left down the course, and the rest of the fleet in a long trail leading all the way up to the Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada. So Kayard, if he can climb a few more boats, he's got Maloney and Bjorn in this race. He needs to pull out a bit of a miracle, I think, on this final downwind leg. And it's great to see Rohard and Ponceau doing so well. Xavier Rohard, bronze medalist in the star class. Massive lead there, over 100 meters by Scheid and Prada. It's almost embarrassingly how good they are. You know, it's just astonishing, really. Now, as the boats fire downwind, let's, John in Virtual Eye, let's fire up the overall leaderboard, just do a bit of number crunching and do a on-the-fly calculation of how this is looking. So in 10th position, that is the kind of the danger zone. It's looking pretty good for Hesbeek and Ollison. You know, they have sailed their way into that top 10 today, and that is the story of the day for me. A astonishing result for those guys on 77 points. Then there's a 5-point gap between them and Maloney and Bjorn, who are 15th at the moment. You know, so if Maloney and Bjorn can make 6 places on this downwind leg, I think it's very unlikely. Kayard and Sperry, a sterling effort, second in that last race, but 12th in this one, and lying in 12th place overall. And then Ed Wright and Pedersen in 13th, and the Marazzi brothers 14th, and Lobert, Rombaud, Zebo and Moss, Hornos, Revkin, Postma and Natucci, all going to be, this is going to be their final race. But if they can ratchet up a few more points, if they can gain just one race place, it's a few $1,000s prize money difference. Everyone is getting prize money. It goes from 40,000 to 30 to 25, and then down, right the way down to $1,000 for 18th place. So Diaz, Von Schwartz in 10th place, 77th, equal 77 points with Hesbeck and Ollison. So Diaz on 13th place in this race, Diaz and von Schwartz, but they would have to lose a few more, with Maloney and Bjorn having to gain a few more. Well, it's possible, but unlikely, Michel.
Yeah, it's difficult. Now we can perhaps, okay, the races, the qualification are not finished, but we can see now that all the finished and laser guy, perhaps I am a little bit upset because we haven't any in the 10 best, but we have perhaps to understand how we can help this guy to catch the 10 first place the next time, because we see that they need perhaps 2 or 3 more days to catch this place because they are not so far away, and Maloney was 25 minutes before in, so we have to help.
Well, Xavier Rohart was talking about that yesterday, that perhaps the next Star Sailors League competition, gives some of the wildcard entries a bit of a leg up with a few more days training, and I think that would make the difference for the top 10 cut. Now, I had a very interesting moment with Xavier Rohart sailing downwind and talking with Pierre-Alexis Ponceau, Xavier's crew, third in the Star Sailors League, and I asked Pierre-Alexis Ponceau just to kind of give us a bit of an idea with this Rule 42 that they're allowed to wave and move the boat all over the place. And Pierre-Alexis Ponceau, as we look at Virtual Eye, John will fly us around Virtual Eye, keep the scoreboards going. But we'll hear a little bit from Pierre-Alexis on how they're actually physically moving these boats all around. I can tell you it's quite a job just to hang on to the boat.
Okay.
So Pierre-Alexis, you're up there,
Yeah.
on the bow by the mast. You're allowed to physically move the boat as much as you like. Just tell us, what are you doing and why?
Yes, we have to row the boat in accordance with the waves, and I have to move with Xavier to be in the same time for rowing the boat, and in the same time he's pumping with the mainsail, the sheet, and me, I'm rocking with the mast like this, and in the same time I push on the boat with my feet, one time leeward, one time windward. With my hands I push the mast leeward with my feet, and I hold windward. To make rowing boat, we have to find the good time with the wave to have a maximum power with wave for surfing and rowing and pumping. And when we have a big wave, we can make a pushing like this in a wave, like pushing like this. So we make the boat faster when we do that or the downwind leg.
Looks hard work there, Pierre-Alexis. Looks incredibly physically difficult. How tired do you get? Comment fatigué, fatigant?
Yeah, it's like a fitness sport in a room. You make step and you make muscle, because it's hard to row the boat in the same time pushing the feet and with the arms. And you don't have to fall in the water too. That's complicated when there is a big wave. Rolling. It's very important to be synchronized with Xavier.
Well, let's have a look at the overall leaderboard. Maloney and Bjorn up to 11th overall, still on 15th, battling away with Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry, but still those 5 points between those two guys and the 10th place positioned Hesbeck and Olesen. And I don't think that is going to change, Michel. So the boat's hammering towards the finish of race number 9. The shape of this competition very defined, and great insight there from Pierre Alexis on exactly what the sailors are doing as we speak. They're out there on the water, rocking those boats all over the place, and phenomenally physical action that was going on. It's quite a good insight, Michel.
We were always speaking about sport, and I mean these rules can bring something for the sport. Yeah, we need to feel that the skills for the athletes are a little okay. We are speaking about strategy, we are speaking about technical things, but we are speaking about athletes now, and you do a good job to show what's happened on this boat.
Well, I'll tell you what, I nearly fell off that boat there with my camera yesterday. I was right at the back, and it was rocking all over the place, and I was doing everything I possibly could just to hang in there like a limpet, you know, on the back of that boat. It really was, you know, physically hard. And these guys are getting towards the end of their race number 9. They're going to be physically pretty exhausted. They've only 2 races today. They're going to have a bit of a chill out this afternoon, and then the top 10 are going into that all-star quarterfinal tomorrow. So 300 meters to the finish of race number 9 of the Star Sailors League. I'm going to fire out very quickly to Loué Habib out on the finish line. Loué, these guys getting their massive lead from Scheid and Prada with 3 boats right behind, about 148 meters behind them. Loué.
Well, Digby, it's becoming a very familiar picture to see the Brazilian team heading the fleet, heading for the finish line. It's a massive boost to their confidence for the Star Sailor League final, which will start tomorrow. Robert Scheid, Bruno Prada are, as you say, so far ahead of the rest of them. It certainly doesn't matter in terms of points, but these two are hugely competitive. They want to show how good they are. They can't avoid coming out and sailing. They thought about not doing this race, but they couldn't. They couldn't go in. They just had to stay out here and sail in this spectacular fleet. So they're approaching the line now. They're looking pretty relaxed on board and sort of happy with it all. And maybe in many respects, it was a great idea that they stayed out here. It shows the camaraderie in this fleet. It shows their respect for the other competitors not to go in just because they don't have to race. They wanted a race, and they're just crossing the line now and heading back in. And a pat on the back there from Robert Scheid to Bruno as the hooter goes. And there's no fist pumping. They're not even looking back. They're just going to go in. They've done the job. And they've got to be so happy with that today. 2 bullets going into the final race. The Brazilians have to be hot favourite to win the finals tomorrow, but who knows what might happen. And then coming in now, ahead of a pack of boats, are the Danish team, Hestebeck and Olsen. This morning, these guys were 1 point off last place. They were 1 point off last place. They were down and out, almost. but they've managed to claw it back. And they're going to come through the line to take second. And I would be amazed if we don't have a massive cheer for these guys. Hesbeck and Olesen goes through the line, overlap with Med and Black and Fatty. And there's a fist bump there from the front. There's a fist pump there from the front, I can tell you that. Olesen from Aarhus, he's absolutely delighted. A big handshake. The Danes are so happy with that. Coming through the line is also the German team, which is, let me just double check that. It's Koldau and Koi. And a great effort here from the Marazzi brothers coming through as well, just behind Rohart and Ponto, who pulled one out there. So we're just getting the last few through, but you could have written the headline for this one today, Digby. The headline today has got to be joy and pain. You've got to feel hard for Lambert and Rambo. They were in that 10th spot and they lost it. They lost it. And Maloney and Bjorn got that 10th spot going into that last race. The penalty put them out. And it was the Danes, the Danish Dynamite, have come back in and got that 10th spot to make the cut for tomorrow's final. Back to you in the studio, Digby. I think we're about to give some water out, but back to you in the studio.
Wow, emotional sounds and scenes from on the water at the end of race 9 as the last boats come across Hornos and Revkin, Lobert, Rambo and Postma and Natucci. So phenomenal scenes here in Nassau in the Bahamas, and you know, a shame for Paul Kayard and Austin Sperry. They looked like they were going to do it in that last race with their second. It was beginning to look good. It was beginning to look amazing, but it wasn't to be. Quite a good effort, though, from those guys. The last boats coming down towards the finish and just crossing. PJ Postma, Finn sailor, Olympic sailor with Eduardo Natucci, and then Jonathan Lobert Rambo picking up the rear for the last point. Well, we're going to do some provisional resulting here. Remember, the racers do have a couple of minutes to go back to the committee boats, and if there are any protests or anything like that, they'll figure those out over the next 2-3 minutes. But we can do a provisional overall results after 9 races, and I can say that Maloney and Bjorn in 11th place. We weren't quite sure why they picked up that penalty near the start, but it was a port starboard with Szabo. It wasn't at the start line, it was a port starboard penalty between Maloney and Szabo, and that really nailed Maloney's hopes for getting into the top 10. Unfortunately, just 4 points away from Hesbeek and Olesen. And look at that, 10th there, Michel. A 6th and a 3rd. They sailed their way into that top 10. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Michael, I mean, he began with a 5th, and he finished with a 3. He has the full motivation, I mean, and tomorrow this guy will be dangerous.
Well, I think they're all going to be dangerous. Let's just look at the guys who've not made the cut. The 8 crews who have not made the cut from 11th down. So Maloney and Bjorn, Kayard and Sperry and the Marazzi brothers all out, as are Wright and Pedersen, Lobert and Rambeau, Szabo and Moss, Hornos and Revkin, Postma and Natucci. Unfortunately, this is the end of their regatta. These are provisional results. I ought to just qualify that just in case there's some kind of protest going on the water. And then let's go up through the top 10. Hesbeek and Olesen, their stellar sailing today, have seen them climb up into that top 10. And then Diaz and von Schwartz. What a phenomenal regatta these guys are having. They're just pleased to be here, and they have made that cut, and I think that is an absolutely superb result for those guys. 59 years old, Augie Diaz from Miami, and he's going to be strutting around this clubhouse tonight like you wouldn't believe. Polgar and Koy, the Germans, up into 8th overall. Kuznierovic and Zitsky, the Poles, they've made 7th overall. Staniak and Klein in 6th overall. Meleby and Strub, very consistent set of results there over the 9 races in 5th overall. And then the superstar French sailors Xavier Rohard, Pierre-Alexis Ponceau, 4th. A nice 5th place in that last race. And then the Italians, who I think they took the accelerator off a little bit, took their foot off the accelerator today. Maybe, Michel, not quite so sure, but they did tell us they weren't going to go for it so hard today. Negri and Lambertenghi in 3rd overall. Mendelblatt and Fatih, just the stealth guys. You know, I think you're right. They're just quietly getting on with it and showing stellar form in this regatta behind the superstar sailors Robert Scheidt and Bruno Prada from Brazil. And just look at that scoreline: a 2, a 4, a 1, a 3, a first, a second, and then 2 firsts today, just to make everybody, realise who they're up against here, the brilliant Brazilians. So that is the shape of the competition. Michel?
Some words for tomorrow, props. If we take these 10 best sailors for this qualification, I see that if we are speaking about Scheid and Prada, they can do everything. They can win with a big fleet, they can win with a small fleet, and we see they have 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets. So I mean, no problem, they can win. Second, Mendelblatt Fatih. They are second, third, and third. So, I mean, they have skills to win this race. They put 5 or 6 results in the 3 best. After this, Diego. Perhaps the strongest point for Mendelblatt, he is a match race competitor. And I mean, if he is in the 4 last guys, I can play some dollars. Because I can trust this guy. So after this, Diego Negri. So we know 2 bullets in the beginning, a lot of practice this year. He can do it. So after this, Xavier Ponceau. They win 1 race. You can win 1, so you can win other races. After this, Meleby Struby. The best is the 3rd place, but with Struby, Meleby, he is a great competitor, Avin, and I mean he's here to win, and he's fully in. Staniak Klein, perhaps one of the best crew in the fleet. They do a 2nd place. We remember he was 2nd in the worlds. I mean, he's in too. Kuznierovic, the best place, 3rd place. So he can be in the 4 last. And we remember as Mateus with Ziki. Mateus was Olympic winner, so he's in. Polgar Koy. Polgar, they win 1 race, so they can do it. And after this, perhaps the most consistent was Diaz, but his best was 7. So it will be difficult. Why not? Perhaps the strongest point for Diaz, he know this place so well. Perhaps his goal was to be in the 10, and he is in the 10. So perhaps tomorrow the strategy will be changed a bit. But he know the place. And for the 10, we see clearly that Esbeck is coming in now.
Well, good analysis, Michel. I think let's take a deep breath. We're going to wind it all up in the Nassau Yacht Club in the Bahamas. If you've enjoyed today, tune back in tomorrow, because this is getting pretty interesting. We're going to have 3 races tomorrow with the top 10 and then the top 7 and then the top 4 for a big showdown final. And $40,000 for the first place, 30 for second, 25,000 for third. So all to play for. The guys are probably tired. They're going to take a bit of a break, and we're going to come back tomorrow around 11 o'clock Bahamas time, 11 a.m. for the final 3 races. Fantastic stuff from today in the Star Sailors League first ever grand finale. And Michel, you're going to have the last word.
Thank you, Dimby. Big job, nice.
Oh, sweet. Well, I've enjoyed it. I tell you what, having Dennis Connor in and yourself, what a cool day. It's been a stellar day for me.
Yeah. And perhaps, Digby, tomorrow we can have some of this skipper with us.
Well, with 8 teams out, I think I'd like you to go and buy Paul Coward a few drinks tonight, Michel. See if Paul will come in. But we'll try and get some of the sailors who have been knocked out to come in as guest commentators, and they'll give us an absolutely fantastic insight and analysis looking at this powerful tool, Virtual Eye. Well, that's it from us from Nassau for today. Do join us again tomorrow.